This week, we're giving you our Resident Evil Retrospective. Join us as we dive into the history of Resident Evil and all of our favourite moments from the original game to the present day on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. One of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
You sure about that? Sure?
Oh, well, you know.
In this,
we're about to have a great conversation.
Dude, you know, in these dying times, you know, I saw an incredible post on X, the Everything app, just a few hours ago that was like, I can't believe everybody fumbled in the span of 24 hours. And I'm sitting there going, really? Are people really claiming that $20 for a Pokemon game on Virtual Console is an equivalent to Bluepoint in this Xbox situation? I'm like, is this what we're doing here? Hypothetically? Is this what we're doing, Hunter?
Nintendo fans are so oppressed.
I genuinely, it's amazing. We're doing something a little bit different here. We're going to cut into our main topic in just a little bit, but we thought, you know, one, we can introduce the segment a little better. It'll be a bit of an easier cut because Hunter's going to be taking over hosting duties for the most part for the majority of this episode. But it's been a weird week. It's been a crazy week. A lot of stuff has happened, and I thought it would be remiss of us to at least acknowledge that there's a lot of stuff that's happened, and I feel like, you know, at any other point, we probably would have done a deep dive and a discussion on it. But one, I feel that there's so many people right now giving their 2 cents, all based on a bunch of, you know, corporate buzzwords that mean absolutely nothing. That we don't have anything that we could really add at the moment. Like, you know, I feel like if we give it a week and there's still something to talk about, then hey, maybe we'll start talking about it. But I felt like it'd be remiss to act like everything's fine when we haven't just had a studio closure and Xbox basically, I don't know, self-destruct. I don't know what the best way to phrase it, really.
Yeah.
But I guess all I wanted to say really is my heart goes out to everybody at Bluepoint. You did not deserve what happened to you. I think we're all on team. You know, if we're getting rid of one set of execs, dude, I feel like, you know, set the sniper to the other side and go, maybe we need to start trimming the fat on the executive PlayStation side because it's not working, right? You know?
Yeah.
So, that metaphorical sniper, of course. I just mean fire them. I don't mean anything sinister. I want to make that clear before YouTube's like, get him out of here. But yeah, so yeah, hearts go out to Bluepoint. Obviously, definitely don't deserve it. We can talk about what this means for PlayStation in the future in general, to be honest, at a later date. But with the whole Phil Spencer thing, I just want to make 2 things clear. For one, it's a forced exit. Anyone that thinks that this was planned a year in advance, you know, you had 3 hours beforehand, you had Sarah Bond like posting in a random Xbox thing that was like, we've got an accessibility survey, please fill this in 3 hours beforehand on LinkedIn. I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of thing you post on your LinkedIn the day that you're resigning. Yeah? I don't think so. So yeah, this is obviously a major kind of shift from Satya Nadella and the team over at Microsoft. They clearly want to change in direction. What do you think this means, Hunter? Your 2 cents real quick. What do you think? What's your prediction if you have your crystal ball out? Because we're so good at predicting things on this
5
show.
years max until they're called Microsoft Gaming.
I think that's fair. My overall prediction is I think there's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of restructuring. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more layoffs. I wouldn't be, you know, I've seen some people saying, is this a shift? Are they going to U-turn back? I don't think you U-turn back. I think the genie's out of the bottle now. I think that they may shift to a Sony strategy of timed exclusivity, if anything. But I think, you know, I don't know. I think you can't take that genie back. Game Pass is eating up so much money that I don't think you can go back to just having Game Pass be your only source of revenue for these games because it's just not sustainable.
Especially when you keep making your fans mad by increasing the price of it.
And I'd be really concerned for the small teams right now. Double
Oh,
Fine
I was
especially.
before already, and
Um,
it's gotten worse.
but yeah, I'd be really, really concerned right now. But yeah, it always sucks because yeah, Phil made a lot of mistakes, and there was it was a rough tenure, but also there were bits that I liked about Phil. I liked that he actually did play video games. I liked that, he went and tried to make amends with like Japanese developers and brought like Persona multi-platform and Final Fantasy back to multi. Like, I like that he did try. You can't say that he
He
didn't
tried.
try.
Yeah, I would say that he did his best, to try and walk the line between the, silly intersection that video games find themselves in, where, it's a cross section between art and business. He very
Yeah,
much tried to
straddle
balance
that
that
line.
accordingly.
100%.
And I don't think his successors will do the same.
I don't know what you're on about, mate. I think bringing in somebody who's been at the company for less than 2 years and has mainly been working with AI systems and development, I don't see what the issue is. I think it's a bold, bright future for Xbox. They're clearly going to go back to just making boxes and only releasing on those boxes because clearly that's a winning strategy for Xbox. Everybody trusts them. And I'm just really, like I say, God bless Matt Booty, dude. I don't know what he does at Xbox, but this is his like 72nd promotion. So fair play to him. He just keeps on landing the job, Fair play to him. Um, yeah, it's an interesting one. We'll see how it plays out, but I wanted to get that out of the way. A little mini topic before we start the main show. This week, we are doing a Resident Evil retrospective. Hunter is going to be joined by a special guest, his friend Gaige. And he's going to talk all about Resident Evil. I'll also be there. I'll be there in the corner, but I don't have much to contribute. So I'm just going to be like a little tiny box editing away, contributing if I need to. But this is like, it feels like this is what the stupid little TikToks where I'm like, hey, this is my best friend and he's going to show you something really cool, okay? And you better not make fun of him. You better treat him with respect. You better enjoy it, okay? You better listen to him just because I'm being quiet in the corner. You better listen to my
the
friend.
little Ethan on my shoulder.
Yeah. But this should be fun. So if you're into Resident Evil, if you're getting ready, if you're warming up to the season of Requiem that is just about to happen next week, this is the podcast for you. We are going to dive in to that Resident Evil retrospective right now.
Whoosh, my show now. I am Hunter. I am joined by my good friend Gaige. Hello.
Hello.
And I have a little Ethan on my shoulder. We're here to talk about Resident Evil.
I just want. Can I make this specify? I said in the intro that I was in a little box, and I've moved myself into a bigger box because Gaige doesn't have a webcam. So I just want to make sure. I want to make this. I want to put this on the record. I'm not belittling the guest. It just this looked better for the video version. I'm not a terrible person. I will not take any slander. Thank you. Anyway, enjoy the show.
He might be, and maybe that's why we're not letting him talk for most of the episode.
You should invite more. You should invite somebody that, you've invited Gaige, you've done a good job there, but you still left me in, who has literally played one of these games. And let me check the timestamp for real quick. Oh, it's the last one in the list. So this is going to go well for me, isn't it? Thank you. I really love Resident Evil. It's a great franchise. I'm happy to be here on the Resident Evil retrospective featuring Ethan for some reason. I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you.
But yeah, we're here to talk all about Resident Evil, the entire series.
Yeah, I have a very interesting history with this series actually. I played most of them later in my life except for Resident Evil 4 for the PlayStation 2, and then I got really 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 into it when I was in like college. So, we'll get to that later. When we get down the list, Resident Evil Village. That's fun. I have a lot to say about that one.
Yeah, my history with the series is more like, as they came and whatnot. Had older siblings who played them. I think the first one I actually played with my own hands was 4. And
such a normie, dude. Such a normie.
That was the first one that I played with my hands. I had the PlayStation 2 version, And I had the one for the Wii with the zapper, and I was terrible at it.
Oh, that's probably that always seemed like it was probably the best way to play it actually because of how you we can talk about it when we get there.
I think sickos
But
have that opinion, but that's just me, okay? I think anybody that wants a Wiimote in their hand, you're on a list somewhere, baby. You're on a list somewhere.
So the
uh,
warning on Wiimote like boxes that says keep the strap on your hand at all times, that
Mm.
was put there for me because I almost destroyed my family's television on several occasions, just letting that thing go and letting it rocket into the wall.
I sort of remember
I'm like
tested
that.
anything, yeah. I never owned a
yeah,
Wii, so I was using other people's Wiis, like friends or whatever, or family members. So I just saw it as a challenge, to be honest. You know, it's like, how
yeah.
far can you throw it without breaking something? You know, like that's it's not my Wii.
I never
Yeah,
like used the strap, but I also never like my Wii play was very dispassionate, where it was always just little wrist flicks.
Nah,
uh
dude, like you gotta be like a really impassioned, like, I don't know, what 9-year-old, like, you know, Wii Sports or whatever. That is like the Olympics for a
oh,
9-year-old.
Wii
You've
bowling?
gotta,
Yeah,
yeah. If you're
that's
not
how I
launching the Wiimote, then what are you doing? That's
yeah,
how it works.
exactly. Every time I played Wii bowling from another room, you just hear thwack. Oh shit. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, Gage hucked the Wiimote again,
Oh
but I got a
man.
strike, so it didn't matter.
You know,
Oh,
This is
don't
not
I'm
about
ever
enjoying this.
Resident
again.
I'm
Evil.
enjoying this. Let's scrap the Resident Evil conversation. Let's just talk about Wii Sports the next hour. I think that'll work out
Never
a
mind.
lot
This
better.
is entirely Wii Sports Resort now.
I've got more. I've
Oh,
got more
now
experience,
Ethan
mate.
and I switched places. I only
Give me my box back, you freak. Anyway, thanks for asking what my history of the series is, Hunter. I really
I was
appreciate
getting
it.
there.
Yeah, I played the Resident Evil 4 remake because I lost a bet on the podcast, so I was like, I guess I'll play Resident Evil 4 remake. Um, and I'm gonna get around to the rest of them eventually, and by the rest of them, I mean I'm gonna dip my toes into probably 2, 3, and 9. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm not a huge horror fan. I played Resident Evil 4 remake. I really enjoyed it. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Maybe you'll convince me along the way to give more of these a try.
Yeah.
I'm here
Some
to
of them
learn. I'm
over
gonna sit
others.
my ass down and learn, Hunter. That's what I'm here to do today.
Oh. Well, best start at the beginning. The first Resident Evil
Hmm.
came out in '96, right around 1996. March, I believe, was its initial release. So we're almost, 30 years.
Oh God, don't say that. That game came out 4 years after I was born.
Ooh, that's
As
rough.
I
I'm sorry to
wither
hear
away
that.
into
I'm
dust.
sorry to hear that.
Oof.
As you know, as an
You
elder Gen
kissed
Z
me.
representative, I'm happy to report that, when was the what was the actual date of Resident Evil 1? That's like
um, I think it was like March 22nd or something, but I don't remember if that was the Japanese date or if that was
it was
like the North
it's
American
the
one.
22nd of March. Like this is just like that's impressive that you were that close, to be honest. I'm appreciating
I
that.
think I looked at it at some point recently, is
Nah,
probably
you
why.
just
I'm
have
not
that,
gonna.
You just have that. It was March, April, and then August for PAL.
Oh,
But I still cleared it by over a year. We're fine, guys. We're fine. It's all good. It's like Crash 1. It's all good. We're vibing.
No, I'm just the dinosaur here.
oh.
It's all good, dude. I'm so used to these days just being the dinosaur, so it's just like you gotta take the punches,
No, I take my my old man badge with pride. However, I think on this whole list, I think the original from 1996 is the only one I haven't played.
Oh,
Oh.
really?
Yes. I think just in general, like I did not get super big into emulation until obviously like later in college and stuff like that. And by that point, I was more interested in PlayStation 2 emulation anyway, so it just
That's
completely skipped on
reasonable.
my
It's
radar.
the best console generation.
Yeah.
I agree.
But Did you ever play the remake version that they did in like
Uh,
2002? And
yes,
that,
for the
yeah,
GameCube, yes.
yeah, and that was like the one that they used as the grounds to port it everywhere else later on.
Yeah, that one I played for the first time actually with Green Scorpion, Oscar. Um, that's God, when did that was we did that back in like 2011
Oh man.
because I'm uh I'm our resident horror fan in like my friend group. So a long, long time ago when he was doing his original like top 10 horror games, which was awful by the way. It was full of all like the most 2010 picks you can imagine. So
Ah,
Slender the Eight
classic.
Pages, Amnesia.
Slender.
Oh no, not
Come on, get
Uh,
out,
Slender.
dude.
At least
yes.
This
this
is the
predates
best
Five
Five
Nights at
Nights at Freddy's.
Freddy's, so there
Nah,
was
I think
no.
I add it in there, dude. When was that 2012? It was close.
That was
It was
2014 was when that series
yeah, I was about
started
to say
blighting
4
reality.
years before the FNAF craze.
I think he's a secret fan,
And
Gaige. I think he's a secret fan. He knows way too much, you know. It's 2014. Someone only knows that if you like Five Nights at Freddy's, mate.
I was being harassed by this series. That's why I hate it so
We've
much.
got a Matt Pat fan in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Let's
oh
welcome him in.
no. Reaper's
Anyway,
like, no, it's not me, definitely. And then you hear the living tombstone on
Oh
the
no.
ringtone pop up.
hmm.
But yeah, I played the GameCube version for the first time, or the GameCube remake, I guess, for the first time with him. And the only one I had played before that was 4, and I loved the GameCube version so much. I'm like, all right, I'm locked in, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
This is simultaneously the most ridiculous game I've played and also one of the scariest. So I'm ready. I'm in.
Yeah, that first game does a really good job at like towing the line that they would, struggle to balance up and down the rest of the series with.
Yeah.
Like the Spencer Mansion was just such a good tangible setting. I think that regardless of what stupid Jill sandwich hoopla you might run into during the events of the game, it still felt like, an actual place that is out to get you.
there there was something about the not to be the art guy and dwell on the art, like the art direction of that particular remake, but I don't know how to phrase it other than it felt like a really like tactile environment, like the way that they did, the modeling and the texturing of the manor itself. Like it felt like you could reach in there and really like touch
Like you could really
every one
feel
of the
the
pieces of
dust on the wood
scenery.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like the way they did like the old like silk wallpapered walls of the manor and like the lighting engine. I was like, for a game that came out in 2002, this is really really well done. And Resident Evil 4 for the PlayStation 2 definitely had that going on as well. I played the GameCube version later, but it always felt to me very like, again, I can only describe it as like tactile. Like I could reach through the screen and feel like the old kind of wet, moldy banisters of the manor. And
Oh,
that kind of really sold me as far as just horror games in general, because when you saw the first zombie reveal when you're Jill and you're going down that hallway and like it turns around, I was like, oh, that is like a really viscerally gross looking creature in front of me. And
yeah.
they did a lot with the limitations of the hardware artistically. um but yeah, I won't ramble on about that anymore because I could talk about the art of these games for hours.
Oh, dude, that would be like straight up the way that the presentation of old like tank controlled
Hmm.
fixed camera ones. I understand why fixed camera had to go away, but there's something about the presentation of that that
Oh
was
yeah,
really good all the time.
it yeah, because it kind of obscured everything in a way, so it made you want to explore beyond like, okay, I'm in the room, I don't see anything like lit up or sparkling, I'm gonna go, but I'm like, yeah, but I can't see the other half of this room, so we should progress anyway. Like
Yeah,
Silent Hill did that too.
yeah.
And
And
of course,
you want to progress a little slowly because who knows what's gonna jump you when you get on the other side of the camera
yeah, a
threshold.
sloppy little critter down the hallway that's trying to grab me, but I really want to go down there even though I can't see.
Yeah. Outside of
But
the first zombie reveal, I think one of the moments that is super memorable from the first game is the dog jumping through the
the
window.
dogs.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. I I don't want to say I dislike dogs because I don't dislike dogs. But I am I'm a little scared of them because I got bit by a dog when I was like 4. So like when that happened to me for the first time, I think like it's one of the few times in the game where I like jumped and put the controller down for a second like I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm good. We're Gucci. I'm not looking forward to doing this again if it happens.
Yeah. I think the way they go about setting you up too is good because I don't think it comes through the window until like the second or third time you're passing back through that
No,
hallway.
it definitely it catches you off guard, and that's like that's kind of one of the beautiful things about like the early Resident Evil games is they were really really good at setting up your expectations and then just kicking you in the sternum and just
Yeah.
be like these are your set expectations and then we're just going to pull the rug out from under you and do something completely different. And I really really loved that.
Yeah, for sure. They did a great job at that. Like
Mhm.
later on in two, they have those stupid birds that function often the same way as the dogs, where they just be
Oh yeah.
flying in from the windows and harassing you.
I liked Resident Evil 2. Gosh, that was what? That was for PlayStation 1?
Yeah, it was still for the PS1.
Yeah. I liked it. I don't have quite as many fond memories of the original 2 as I do the GameCube the 2002 GameCube version of Resident Evil. That doesn't mean it was a bad game. I just definitely got more. I mean, I don't know how to phrase this.
You just got more out of the
I got more out of that
GameCube.
one. I got more out of 3. I
Oh,
don't know
really?
if it's
Yeah.
because 3 is also one of the first ones that I played when I was younger, so it might be nostalgia bias, but I did not like Nemesis in like the most affectionate way possible. I was like,
Oh.
don't like this guy.
Yeah, he was great.
Um,
Oh,
but yeah, especially when it came to gosh, because refresh my memory. Was it
uh,
I'm sorry, my brain just stalled. I like blue screened in
oh, it's
real
all
time
good.
for a minute. Um, who was the antagonistic force in 2?
So that was kind of depending on whether you were playing as Leon or
Or
Claire and
Claire?
which scenario you were in. It was either
Yeah.
Mr. X was harassing you for most of the game, or it was,
Or
mutated Birkin.
you were plucky young Raccoon City PD, first day on the job, Leon Kennedy.
There's a twinkle in his eye and a can-do
Uh-huh.
attitude.
Our precious birthday boy, Leon
Yeah.
Kennedy.
First day on the job and 2 weeks until retirement.
Oh, that's my partner, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, I think like I definitely got more out of Claire's part of the story than I did Leon's.
yeah.
Um I always remembered the chase segments, even like for the PlayStation 1, I definitely remember the chase segments a little bit more vividly than Leon's portions. Not that they were bad, Not that they were bad, just that I'm like, it's just, it's killing zombies.
Yeah.
During this era, I was definitely more of a Silent Hill stan than I was Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Um, I'm looking at our itinerary and so to speak, and I see immediately after 2 and 3 is Code Veronica.
Yeah.
And I feel like the less I say about Code Veronica, the better.
Oh, I have some opinions on Veronica as well, as far as that before we skip too far ahead there. But you know,
Yeah.
R- Resident Evil 2 for me, as far as like the early ones, they were like Resident Evil 2 was like the one that I was watching my siblings play the most. And I think I played around with it, when I was young and stupid and didn't understand how puzzles function and all that. I think I first started I think the first time I properly played through it all the way was middle school or high school or something when I had have it on the PS3 digital store or whatever. That's how
Oh,
I
okay.
finally played all the way through it, I think. And yeah, I think that was my favorite of the pre-rendered tank control ones, as far as just the memories attached to it beforehand and how it all came
Yeah,
together.
of like the extra crunchy PlayStation 1 era.
Yeah.
I gosh, when did I play that one? Because I played it later in life. So I think like the nostalgia appeal had passed a little bit for me because I was definitely in college. So this was around like 2010, 11, 12.
Yeah.
When I played 2. The one that I did play alongside with my siblings was Nemesis.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, gosh, because it was all around the same time. And when you're younger and you see something kind of scary and your brain goes, "Ooh, I don't like this," but you're
But you
drawn
also
to
want to
it.
know?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how I felt about the cover of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I was like
The
12
one
and
where
I
it's just
was
kind of like gawking at you from the that's the one where
like
Nemesis is just mugging the camera, right?
mad dogging you. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't like how this dude with the teeth is staring me
I
down.
don't like the eyes he's giving me.
Just let him mug you, dude. Just let him mug you.
I don't like the angle of his dangle. Let's get him out of here. And by get him out of here, I mean like rent it from Hollywood Video right now.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, Nemesis, I don't have as much vivid memory of. I don't know if we just didn't have that one as often. Games in my household when I was younger seemed to rotate existence sometimes, whether it was being
Mm.
borrowed or rented and whatnot. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how badly I'm dating myself when I bring up Hollywood Video and EB Games. But
Doesn't matter to me. It's
uh,
all nonsense to me, mate.
uh, the Resident Evil Nemesis was on rotation of because I had a PlayStation 2, but I didn't have a PlayStation 1 memory card because this was
oh,
back in the day. Yeah, where you had to have the specific memory cards to save specific games. You could play it on your PS2,
you just
but you
had to
couldn't.
lock in and win in one
Mm.
sitting.
I think one weekend. Oh, it was me and my oldest brother Hunter. Because he and I still do very much like horror games. He's actually the person who told me about Still Wakes the Deep.
Ooh,
Um,
that is a
but
good one.
it's very good.
He's lame.
But he and I tried to endeavor to beat Nemesis over a weekend, and we left the PlayStation 2 on.
Oh, I have a story like this
Like
too.
we left it on and paused.
Yeah.
And this was during a thunderstorm.
Oh no.
So of course the power went out and we lost all the progress because we were dumb. I was in middle school, he was probably in high school, and you know, we were like, no, yeah, it's fine. Just leave the PlayStation on while it's hurricaning outside. It won't happen. Like,
Surely not.
yeah, surely not to us. And
We're made
gosh,
differently.
I don't remember which boss fight it was during, but it was during a specific boss fight, and just whole house lost power, and like it was just silent following because like I could hear my brother's spirit breaking a little bit, realizing that we had lost all of that progress.
Just let out a weak little stars.
You kids today and your newfangled auto saves back in my day.
At least after that experience, like ink ribbons were like holy gifts for you.
I think after that experience, I think I just remember my brother just looking at me we should pool our money for a PS1 memory card, right? And I was like, yeah, we should do that for sure.
Yeah.
But very good memories of Resident Evil 3. Like I said, it's probably a good chunk of that is nostalgia fondness, but screw it. It's my
Yeah, like,
nostalgia fondness.
yeah. And like Resident Evil 3 was still a really well put together game for what they were
Oh
doing. It
yeah.
was like I think that one was turned around just a year after 2, if
Yeah,
memory serves correctly. And then
it came out very shortly after 2 did. And like, you can see a lot of the reused assets and
I feel like they do
not
it
reused
smartly
maps.
though, you know?
Yeah, but rearranged, you kind of had that with like between like Jack 2 and Jack 3 because they came out like a year between each other. And they got really creative with it. They got really creative with like again like retooling and reworking the maps into a new framework that you didn't recognize. So that's not to say that like again I'm blinded by my nostalgia because it was genuinely a very well put together game, especially during the PlayStation 1 era, which had a lot more jank than I think people are willing to admit sometimes.
Yeah, people get old and they're like, "Oh, it was just so much better all the time." And
Yeah.
sometimes you just forget some of the more
Dude, there
glaringly
are
obvious
there are
issues.
PS1 and N64 games that are on huge pedestals, which if anybody does not have any inkling of nostalgia for them goes to play them, they go, "What on earth is this garbage? I cannot bear to even like spend a moment playing it." I'm not gonna list them. I've listed them before. People are still trying to track me down and hunt me for it, so I'm gonna shut up. But you know what games they are. They're not that good. Sit down. It's all good. Um, yeah,
But
I just
yeah,
wanted to. Yeah, I just wanted to add in terms of like the PS1 Resident Evils is like again, my dad is a huge Resident Evil fan. He's played like all of them since the original came out on the PS1, and for me, it's always been 2. It's always been of course, it's been Leon and it's Claire. Of course it is. But that to me is like the iconic kind of for me the image of Raccoon City Police Department with like with Mr. X hunting you down. That is my image of Resident Evil, like purely from like a childhood nostalgia. Unlike you two, did not have that inkling of that looks scary. I want to chase that. My thing was that looks scary. Get that the fuck away from me. I'm never going to experience that in my lifetime. Thank you very much. But yeah, there's something about to me anyway. Like yeah, there's just something about that game, that aesthetic where I'm just like I don't know what it is about a band. It's usually like mansions. I expect mansions to be scary. You know what I mean? It's like that's a creepy vibe. It's just like abandoned places, like abandoned cities and abandoned like kind of like police. Like just it's almost like it's the Arkham Asylum effect. You know what I mean? It's just that it's creepy, but it's like it's that kind of man-made
it's
creepy
a
that just like it
little
just absolutely
liminal spacism
I
kind
was
of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's like really liminal, like seeing a
Hmm.
place like an airport at night.
Yeah, you expect a creepy, like, it's like with Village, not Village, it's like with Biohazard, when we'll get to that obviously later, but it's like, you expect Biohazard to be scary because it's literally a haunted, it's a moldy haunted house, you know what I mean? It's like, of
Yeah.
course, you would not go anywhere near that with a 10-foot pole. You could 100% be stuck in an airport. You could 100% be stuck in, a police station at night. And it's still, you know what I mean? It's creepy. It's not meant to be creepy. It just is. And it just like, I think that's like, again, I just have, very
No,
vivid
I think
memories of
that's
watching my dad like have the wall beaten down as this guy just stomps through it. He's like, nah, fuck your wall, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And he's just like, no, screw that. I'm out of here, dude. I'm out of here. But no, lovely old job.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like you bring up a good point, especially about like 2 and 3 definitely like decidedly taking place in Raccoon City. That it definitely adds to like the oof, something something about this isn't right. It's also one of the reasons why Resident Evil's biggest competitor, Silent Hill, was so popular too, because there's that like weird liminality to it of this is a police station. Usually these places are packed and bustling and loud and full of people, and it's just silent and dark.
I mean, I
You're
think
on like
horror
your
always.
third screen of the same road, and you're like, how long does this go?
I think horror always works better when there's a hint of, a hint of reality in it. Even just the fact that it's set in a city, in a space that a lot of us experience on a daily basis. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's the kind of part of it where it's like, it feels
Mhm.
a bit more grounded. Just a little bit. Obviously, you've still got weird zombies and all that jazz going on, and Umbrella maniacally laughing in the corner. But it's just like a little hint of it that just kind of, I always, brings it a bit more close to home. It's always good
No, I
stuff.
get that. I definitely, yeah. I'm like, no, I get that. That's it's one of the appeals of it in a weird way. Because how many times, honestly, have you decided to go headlong into a gross, moldy, haunted house? You're right.
Never in my life. Never in my life.
I mean, I do. It's an average Saturday, but we'll get to that later.
Whatever you do, we will not be getting to that later. I will not be wrong. We'll not be coming back to that. I want to make that
Perfect.
very clear. No, thank you.
Yeah.
We
It's
can
not-
talk about the bakers and what you do in your time. That's your own problem, okay? Like,
Look, it's not trespassing if you shout urbex to the cops.
I think we should get
Before
on
we
to Code
move
Veronica,
on
Hunter.
to
I think we.
yeah, before we do that, one more thing I want to shout out to the PS1 era of these games is all the cool ways they encouraged the replayability with like the extra scenarios
Mhm.
and whatnot.
Oh
With
yeah.
like in 2 you had beyond just playing Leon and Claire and their flipped orders and whatnot, you'd unlock thing for Hunk and the Tofu. They were also both a lot of fun as
Well,
far as just
they were clamoring for it, dude. They were clamoring for it.
it was just something cool to unlock when it's like, what, I've played this game as many times as I can imagine, and then suddenly I've got this dude with a gas mask and a machine gun. That's cool.
I think it
Hell
really
yeah.
helps for shorter linear games. I think
Yeah.
it's it's almost kind of ironic back in that era when you were you had shorter linear games like the original Resident Evils, Metal Gear Solid, for example, that you wanted that replayability, you wanted those extra hard modes, you wanted to, oh, do I want to get the bandana or do I want to get the stuff, you had those like kind
Yeah.
of choices where you're like, like keep playing it. Whereas nowadays you're like, oh god,
Something
it's
asks me to
5
play
it's
it
5
twice and
hours.
sending it to
I'm
the shadow
uninstalling
realm.
that bastard straight away. It's the greatest feeling of all time. You know what I mean? It's like modern gaming is, if a game's 5 hours, what a treat that is. But it's like back then, you're like, 5 hours? No, I'm gonna replay this 5-hour game 26 times. Thank you very much, and I will enjoy every moment of it.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that was me with Nier Automata.
Yeah. And then I
Don't
believe
start me,
Nemesis
Automata.
had, like, I don't know if it was called Mercenaries at the time, or I think it had a mode that was similar to what would become Mercenaries later.
I don't remember. I think you're right though. I
Yeah.
think that mode started, or at least was inspired by a mode from the PS1 era. I could be wrong. I could just be talking out of my ass, but it sounds right, so I believe you.
That is how I get by most of the time. But yeah.
Code
So
Veronica,
yeah, I just
Hunter.
thought
Code
that
Veronica. No,
yeah,
no special
Code
shout outs.
Veronica.
Code Veronica. Get into the mess. Explain to me why I should never touch this game until they remake it in like 3 years' time when they're bored.
I think okay, so my main takeaway when I beat it, I think was that was like a 6-hour game and it felt like it was too long.
It's the best kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the weakest of the kind of early free Resident Evil 4 games.
Um,
I
it
haven't
was
played Zero,
always it
so
was
I won't know for
always the
sure.
one that when I went into like Target or wherever, it was always the one that was still there. All the other games had sold out, but you could count on the fact that there was a shelf full of copies of Code Veronica. And I can kind of see why.
Yeah, like you know, it starts out all right enough. I think playing as Claire again is cool. Her sidekick for the game is. I don't think people hate Steve enough.
That's fair.
Everyone jumps to Ashley as being just, you know, worse than Satan. But I didn't know that much about Steve until I played the game myself, and oh my god, he's horrible.
He's
Has
just taking a
Steve
break from
even
Blue's
ever
Clues, mate. Well, don't leave him alone.
Uh,
he just starts like pointing out to Claire all of the little like blue paw prints over the
I
piles of
mean,
corpses.
I think for not to be too harsh to a lot of writing in a lot of Japanese video games, but I think they did all go to the Blue's Clues style of game design and storytelling a lot of the time. You know what I mean? I feel like we're sitting there, definitely like Danganronpa. You know what I mean? It's like there are the 3 paw prints, and they will point them at you 62 times. And they're like, look, there's a paw print. Have you seen it yet? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? It's a lot of you gotta love. You know, I love Japanese game design. I do love me a good Japanese game, but my god, some of them writing's never that great. But hey ho, it's all good. But no, it's
I
Code Veronica's interesting because as someone who is a casual observer, it's like this is one of the ones that just gets slipped under the rug. You know, it's like there are bad Resident Evil games like 6 that a casual as myself will have heard the mixed quote unquote reactions to. But then you do get a game like Code Veronica where it's like it just kind of slips under the even Zero I hear of, but like Code Veronica, the only reason I've ever heard of Code Veronica, I'm not gonna lie, is because people keep going, "That's the one they're gonna remake next, mate. Trust me." And I'm like, oh, okay.
I think of all of them, it's the one that would benefit the most from a remake.
Well, you might be in luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know there's like people who have that philosophy of like we should be remaking games that weren't phenomenal, to put it nicely. And I'm like, I do think Code Veronica probably could benefit from being remade. Do I particularly want a Code Veronica remake? It's for somebody. It's not for me, but it is for somebody, so somebody will be very happy.
Yeah. There was something about the way that the setting was. Never
Mhm.
mind the fact that they just drop you in an Arctic base in the last part of the game. But
Yeah.
before that, I think the setting was very like schizophrenic sometimes. Like it didn't gel together as well as the prior games had, I don't think.
Yeah, it was really disjointed. Um Honestly, I I distinctly remember Code Veronica also feeling kind of sterile.
Yeah,
Like,
like it wasn't as grimy.
yeah, it was because again, it all took place in like, there was the Arctic research base, and like, I guess sort of going back to like what I said about like that very like visual tactile feeling of the 2002 Resident Evil and the PlayStation 1 ones. Everything was textured and everything looked, like you said, kind of grimy, but also lived in.
Yeah.
Like Raccoon City felt like a city that people lived in, and it has felt that way progressed throughout the series. But in Code Veronica, I was like, why?
Why is this stuff here?
Yeah. And why does everything kind of feel like a millennial gray apartment building?
Yeah.
I weird choice. They made a lot of strange choices in Code Veronica. I think that's the best way I would put it. Would I recommend it? If you really, really, really want to go back and play all of the old Resident Evils, then yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think it was horrible by any means. I think it's just the weakest of that part of the series.
I think its biggest crime is it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
Like you played it, you finished it, and you're like, all right, that happened. Like nothing from like a horror standpoint, nothing about it really grabbed me. Like nothing about it
I
for
guess
the
you
life of me, I can barely remember half of the enemies that were in it. Like,
I remember this. I think I just remember this because I played this with my brother just a couple of years ago, and there was this. I think it was just a tyrant that hassles you. I think it's on like the plane or helicopter or whatever to the Arctic base. It's like a
yeah.
boss encounter, and we just kind of didn't have ammo for anything but like the blow or the like arrow gun thing.
Oh boy.
So we had to we had to struggle through that for a minute.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Anyway,
But yeah,
um,
you could argue that
yeah.
maybe the other crime it commits is setting up for a climax that happens off screen
Oh
with the
yeah.
rest of the series, from the narrative perspective. By the time we roll around to 4, whatever they were setting up for this one was done.
Yeah. And it kind of sucks because I'm like I really like Claire as a character and I think she's really underused in the franchise.
Free.
don't worry,
Um
guys. See you on Thursday. Am I right? Keep dreaming.
Yeah.
so I'm like it kind of it's a little disappointing to me personally that I'm like, oh, Claire, the middle child of the Resident Evil
That's also
franchise.
part of why aside from the fact that the final hours are just kind of annoyingly there anyway, I think part of the reason I wasn't into it was because, like, I feel like they pull the rug out from under Claire just so Chris can show up.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't like it at all that way.
What? Chris Redfield taking the spotlight in a Resident Evil game? That never happens.
Yeah.
I love Chris,
Uh,
don't get me wrong, but sometimes I look at him and I'm like, why are you here?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about all I got on Code Veronica.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it too. Um
Alrighty.
I know people kind of huck the term mid around to mean like bad and terrible and awful, but I'm like, no, I would call it mid, like in the actual middle of the
In
road.
like the actual sense, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, it's there.
Welcome to modern gaming, dude. It's either an 8 out of 10 or it's ass. Like that's where we live
Yeah,
now. Pick a lane, Like that's what we've got to do.
7 out of 10 literally means that it's garbage and unplayable. How dare you?
And it's true. Don't touch anything lower than an 8, mate.
I probably feel the same way about Resident Evil Zero, to be fair.
Oh yeah, so like I mentioned already, I haven't actually played that one, so this is just speak your piece.
Sorry.
So, for the record, when I looked at the list of all the Resident Evil games that we were going to talk about, I saw Resident Evil Zero and went, "Oh my god, I forgot everything about this game." And I had to like look it up on Wikipedia
Oh.
because
You
it
see,
had been
that's where
so long since I had played Resident Evil Zero and I remember so little about it
isn't that the
because
perfect
the
thing
game
to
that
say about it though? When you're looking back in a retrospective, is I don't even remember playing it. There you go. That's like
yeah.
that's a review in of itself. That's looking back on it enough, Like
Oh yeah.
your brain's conditioned it out of there, Get it, There's something about it that just didn't stick.
No, I definitely more than Code Veronica because I at least remembered Code Veronica, and I know I played Resident Evil Zero because when I was like reading the plot synopsis, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's all coming back to me." Um, but that doesn't mean what came back to me was worth talking about or super interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Like, so shortly after my brother and I played Code Veronica, I don't remember how soon after, but there wasn't enough distance. We had started Resident Evil Zero, and I don't know. I guess I was in a bad mood or something because I was like, "Why is it on a train? You can't do cool level design on the train. This is stupid." We shortly, it was like within a half hour, switched to a different game, and I have not touched it since. I think for the sake of like playing all of the main games at some point, I will go and play it. But you know, uh,
Is it
um,
worth it, dude? Is it worth it? Is it
there are
worth?
worse ways I could spend my time.
I feel like you should value your time a bit better, mate. I feel like you are, I don't know. I just to me, it's a bit like you know, j- it's just it's a master of none. It's a jack of all trade. It's like it's just if it's not got like what is the reason? What is the reason to do it? And if it's just ticking a box, dude. Well, I've played all the other ones. I'm like, bro, this just like fair play, but I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know
This
if I
guy
could do
No,
it.
played this guy played the Viking Assassin's Creed
It's
game that's like
true. It's
70
true.
hours by
In
this
my
same philosophy,
oh,
and he's lecturing me about what is max a
in my
5 hour
defense,
game.
you're on it. In my defense, I've been playing Assassin's Creed since I was 9 years old. It's unfortunately it is I think it's a part of the ADHD or something. I feel like it's like there's a little bell that goes off in the back of my head that's like there's a terrible Assassin's Creed game you haven't finished yet. So is that why you're telling me you've got like the Resident Evil ADHD where it's like you've got to
Some
finish it or
extent, I
else
think, especially now that I've
you
played
can't rest
7
until you've
too,
played
and
all of them.
Zero's the only one now.
True. It's also
I mean, just
shorter
for
than most
completionist,
RPGs.
Yeah.
Mm, that's fair.
I
That's
I
fair.
I would be interested to see if after completing Zero, you come back 6 months and you remember anything about it. That will
Yeah.
be the real test because I
That
don't.
he's got the memory of a fucking hawk or something. I don't know what's a good memory. I don't know what animal's got a good memory. You know what I mean? Like a dolphin or
The
something.
thing about
Elephant.
elephants not
An
forgetting.
elephant.
But,
Yeah, but I
yeah.
as far as I'm aware, I think that's a bit overblown of how good their memory is.
Crows have good memories.
Well, there you go, and you look,
Like,
that track's done it, right,
Same vibes, yeah.
Mister
yeah.
Crowbrain. But he'll just like I struggle to even remember names of characters in video games I really like, and then Hunter will just sit there and he'll be like, "Yeah, I played this game 17 years ago, and the side character in this other quest was called Jason," and you're like, well, "How do you know that? Like, why? Why do you know that? Please
One
stop."
time, I think it was when God of War Ragnarok came out, Kyle did this thing where he went and played the first God of War game instead, and I gave him one of the combo inputs in the name of it, and it was correct, and I was like, I didn't know that was gonna be true.
It's just something else.
Yeah, I have
Anyway,
absolutely no right to speak. I have encyclopedic knowledge of World of Warcraft because I've been playing that game since I was 12.
Uh,
So,
yeah, but that's like like I say, everybody has that kind of specialist subject when it comes to gaming or whatever. Everyone's got it, right? It's like me when I was like I was a big Minecraft kid growing up, so it's like everything up until like 2014. I know everything about Minecraft up until 2014. I've got that knowledge. Could I tell you about anything that's happened since then? God no. But I could still probably give you the recipe on how to make like I don't know, like a brewing stand or whatever. I've still got that in me, but you just gotta live with it. You just gotta live with that knowledge for the rest of your life. You'll forget family members' names, but you'll remember the recipe to a random thing in a video game you played 32 years ago.
oh, I say things like that all the time. I'm like, I'll be
yeah.
90 and I won't remember who's president or what year it is, but I can absolutely tell you, based off of screenshots alone, what zone in World of Warcraft I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Like,
I love it, dude. I love it. It's like it's useless information. I don't know if you ever played that there's like a GeoGuessr, but for video games, and the amount of times that there's just a random screenshot of a video game. Never played it. Know what the video game is, though. You know what I mean? It's just like, why is that in my head? Like, my friends will be like, "Stop it!" And I'm like, "No, I can't stop it. That is very
Dude.
clearly Secret Agent
Yeah,
Clank from the PSP.
would
Damn it!"
probably- that would if I played that would probably have an alarming amount of. I've seen way too much art styles of games that I haven't played before.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Ugh.
yeah, 100%. Anyway, can we
Uh,
get back on track, please? Can we get
Yeah.
back on
Get back
track?
on
The
track.
children are yearning. They're sitting there and like, they're
I
They're-
I
they're
think
salivating. They
one.
see Resident Evil 4's next. And they're like, I can't hold it anymore.
I was about to say I think that's the most
Where are they going? Bingo.
that's the most significant thing I can say about Resident Evil 0. It's the game that you play before you get to 4.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Not if you've got a brain, dude. It's you skip. It's
If you're
it's
a
Monopoly, dude.
completionist, it's the one you beat to get to 4.
Do not play Resident
Yeah.
Evil 0. Go straight to Resident Evil 4. Have a good time. Like that's all you need to do. Right. Here we go.
So
Yeah.
my technical first Resident Evil game was Resi 4. Also on rotation from Hollywood Video, renting it.
Oh, nice.
With the other ones. Could actually save this one, but I loved it. The segment where you have to get the scope from the freezer with the Iron Maidens in it
Oh my god. It's
still
such
makes
a
me sick to my
well
stomach
put
this day.
together piece of business there.
Oh
Oh.
gosh, I hate
That's like
that
the
segment.
one thing about the remake of 4 that I feel like was kind of off was the run up to the regenerators.
Oh yeah, I'll agree.
But
Oh,
so good.
because there was
It's that
something like
first time.
uniquely nightmare inducing about the regenerators and the Iron Maidens from the original Resident Evil 4 that like I don't like them.
I think the rest of the game being how it is, especially when you're this late into especially when you were that late into the game, and by that point you were at the island and it was going full send into Parasite Man with the Gatling guns and stuff, pulling you back and locking you in a freezer with this monster that won't die is a sense of whiplash that is really effective, I think.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Like I said, I'm like there's a lot of moments in Resident Evil 4 that are really, really vivid, that really stick out to me. And it's there's definitely reason it is one of the most well-beloved games. I don't know if you had this experience, but I did, where my siblings told me to shoot the fish in the lake because they knew what was going to come out of the lake. I didn't know, but they knew. So, of course, when I was like, yeah, I'll shoot the fish, I bet it gives me something cool, my brother would not lead me down
The
a path
Primrose
of
Path.
torment,
Yeah.
only to
Oh.
watch me get absolutely devoured 30 seconds later. It startled me so bad I fell off my chair. I was 12, and I was like, I hate every single one of you. Let's do it again. Let's make Jordan do it now.
My brother didn't get the chance to do that because I ended up watching him play a lot of this before I played it myself. I think my first hands on the sticks experience with Resident Evil 4 was screwing around with the mercenaries. And then I was like, yeah, I suppose I will, actually give the full game a whirl.
Was
I
it you
played
or
on
was
the
it Kyle,
GameCube.
dude? Was it you or was it Kyle? We'll forget by the time we get to Resident Evil 4 Remake, so I'll bring it up now. But it was one of you that made me shoot the bloody water, and it scared the shit out of me. I don't know which one it
That would have
was. It
been
was-
Kyle. I wasn't trying to. I usually don't. I was pleased enough that you were playing it in the first place. I wasn't about to ruin your life too.
Someone was like, shoot the water, and then I just
Like
think
a
I sent
hazing
back a
ritual.
fuck you. And I was like, it's a stupid fucking game anyway. I don't care about it. It's a stupid
There's something
boss
so
fight as
funny
well.
about the boss fight. The first boss of this third-person shooter being this boat harpoon fiasco.
I think the
Like-
one thing you've got to respect about Resident Evil 4 is it manages to juggle a lot and still manage to stick the landing. It's extremely, it has those horror moments, but at the same time, it's extremely camp, it's extremely corny, it's extremely goofy, but it still manages to keep its tone better than most games. It's like it's rather impressive how much they kind of get away with in it,
Oh
really,
yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest. And there's a lot of stuff now where I can guarantee for a fact, right, is if we got to a point where in Resident Evil Requiem there was a little Napoleon guy who gets into a big version of it, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, the statue chasing
into the
you.
statue chasing you, like, if that happened today, like, there'd be the Haze session of the week, but it's like the fact that it's so beloved and is able to do that is,
Yeah.
it's a testament to it.
I don't want to use the word whimsical when referencing Resident Evil because that's definitely the wrong word. But there was definitely they were not afraid to get kind of wacky and kind of fun. Like one of my favorite moments from the original Resident Evil 4 is when Leon looks at oh shoot, what was his name? See, I always refer to him as Dwarf Napoleon. Um
Salazar.
Salazar. And he goes, "Your right hand comes off."
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, "Leon, you idiot.
Greatest
I
line.
love you."
The fact that they just gave Leon the codec from Metal Gear Solid to use for a little while was hilarious.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Like I don't think that a lot of games today, if they had the kind of pull that like hokey 1980s action movie one-liners all the time, they'd be like, "This game sucks." It's fine when Leon does it though.
Yeah. Leon's got the stuff. He's our friend.
He's got
It's
the
there's
sauce.
something.
Yeah.
There's something about Resident Evil 4 that is just, like I say, I don't think you can replicate it really.
No.
It's a very special game. And even in, we'll get to the remake later, but that should have been an endeavor that had like a 80% chance of just falling completely flat. So it's there's something about Resident Evil 4 as an entity that just works. It's just like this. It really is like, I don't know what
Yeah.
they were doing, and they were
I think it's
cooking
a
though.
testament to the game that the remake is as good as it is, but I still think it's worth people to like play this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. It's also because Ashley in 4 versus Ashley in 4 remake almost feel like different characters.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing necessarily, because like we mentioned earlier that like Ashley gets shit on a lot. But I'm like, put yourself in Ashley's shoes for a minute. You get abducted by a bunch of people who are trying to kill you, who don't speak your language, and the horrors are crashing down around you. You would scream too.
I played for right before, like a few months, like the prior year to when the remake came out. And I remember being like, when I got all the way through it, I'm like, Ashley's not as bad as I remember. And as bad as the
Yeah.
internet was conditioning me to believe all these
Yeah.
years going forward.
I've mentioned this to my friend Oscar too, that her AI for the time is actually very, very well made. Like, because obviously people are like, "Oh, Resident Evil 4, aka the giant escort quest." I'm like, yes, but Ashley
You're not
runs
really
away
doing
from
it that
danger.
much,
No, I don't either. For the record, I
Yeah.
don't think Resident Evil 4 is a
Yeah.
big escort quest. That's said by
Yeah, I
people
know.
who
It's said
haven't
by
played
people who
it.
are silly.
Yeah, but I'm like, Ashley's AI is actually very, very well attuned. Like, she doesn't, run into the middle of pods of enemies and start screaming. Like, she will actively look for places to go hide. And I'm like, I think the hate for original Ashley is very, very overblown.
Hatred
Yeah, I'm
overblown on the
inclined to
internet.
agree.
That's crazy. But no, I mean, yeah, it's an icon for a reason, right? It's one of those. There's a couple of games every generation where you look at it in retrospect and you go, oh, that paved, like, that just stuck in game designers' brains, and it's just like, we've been, it's like the original Metal Gear Solid when you go, and you
Yeah.
look at it and you're like, oh my god, that game paved like 90% of modern gaming. Like, is the way these cutscenes are done and the way video game writing is, you look at it and you're like, oh my god. And this is like,
Yeah.
you see those inklings of every modern Sony game in Resident Evil 4 when, you look at Ashley in a lot of ways and you go, yeah, okay, Ellie, okay, Atreus, okay, what's her name from BioShock Infinite that I can't remember?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, thank you. You just look at it and you go,
Yeah, it's one of those games. Where
can't
if you
blame
pull
you
it
for
out of
can't blame you.
the
but
Jenga tower of video game history, a lot of things fall down after it.
yeah, I know. Lovely game that I'm sure we'll talk about more later.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 5 happened next.
The game Kyle really wants me to play badly. I mean, this is.
Yeah.
He just wants a buddy, I
So-
think, to play it.
He's barking up your tree because it's like on the short list of games that I just straight up don't like.
What is the problem, dude? What is the problem? Is it the lovely murky filter that's plastered all over it? Is that the
classic
problem?
Mexico filter.
Oh
Yeah,
god, the
dude.
Mexico filter.
Can I just say,
fact that
yeah, as somebody
Yeah, you can go.
there's someone who obviously hasn't played Resident Evil 5, but has, done my time in the mines of Resident Evil 4, right? Is, the whole Las Plagas thing and, the village and all that jazz in Resident Evil 4, you go, okay, I can kind of understand it. This kind of makes sense. Everything that they do in Resident Evil 5, you look back on and you just kind of go, that was a choice. And I'm
Big
just sitting
choice,
there.
bold
I'm like,
choice.
not a bold choice. I just sit there and I go, these devs in Japan have a lot more respect for Spain than they do, than they do for Africa, dude. Like, I just sit there and I go, what is this? Like, what is this, dude? What is in Japanese textbooks? You know what I mean? You just sit there and you go, screw it, dude. 2006, Tribes, whatever.
You almost don't want to talk about it because it's like it's the elephant in the room. That
It is, but I feel like you should. Like, this is the thing.
No,
it's like,
you should.
You can look at the game. It's two separate things, right? I personally have very mixed messages when it's like separating the art from the artist, because I think that there's a lot of the times a lot of things are, they're inherently linked. But also, I think you can look at Resident Evil 5 and go, oh, that stuff is aged terribly. And we can recognize that. But we can also look at the game in general, right? It's not like, I'm not going to sit there and go, okay, it's greatest game ever made, but that one thing. I'm like, it has its problems. We can talk about the game, though.
Story-wise, it's kind of a mess.
Just a tad.
This is like one of my favorite phenomenons about Resident Evil just in general is how big is Chris Redfield? Because he seems to change size in every single game we see him in.
Every time he's like a Matryoshka doll in reverse. Like every time we see him, he's the next layer that would go on top.
Because like if you looked at the cover of Resident Evil 5, I'm like, that man's biceps are the size of a fucking Thanksgiving turkey.
Needs to be when he's pushing boulders, you know what I mean?
When he's punching boulders, like
yeah. I mean, I think what really gets me about Chris, and it's just, I don't know, because I'd say is it just a product at the time, but it's not, because it's like when I look at Jill, I like all the iterations of Jill, and I look at all the iterations of Leon and Claire and all that, and can go, yeah, okay, makes sense, same character. I look at every single render and every single model of Chris Redfield, and I go, they just like to roll the dice on this guy. They genuinely just like to go, yeah, that kind of looks like him. Yeah, sure, why not? That'll do. That'll do.
Man.
Like Chris
different man every time.
Really
They're just like
he's wearing more than the physical properties of the person.
Chris is the only person where you can get a trailer for Resident Evil Village and they show him, and you've got half the people going, I think it's him. Let me get my glasses on. And you're just like sitting
Oh
there and you're
no,
like,
me.
yeah, no, but like there were genuinely people who were like, that's supposed to be in any other franchise. That's like the big, like, like the Leon moment from Requiem trailers a couple of months ago. Where you're like, it's instantly him, and you're supposed to pop off. And there were literally half the people were popping off. The other half were going, is it Chris? Because that's what Chris is. Chris is just this amalgamation of 16 different white guys.
I only played 7 a couple of weeks ago, but if I had played it at the when it launched and got to the end when he showed up, I would have been like, "Who are you?" And he'd be like, "Oh, really?
No, me again." Because I was one of the people who didn't know it was Chris Redfield initially in the Village trailer, and also at the end of 7, I was
which is
like,
fair. He looks
guy?
nothing like him.
He's a white guy." That's his defining quality.
It just makes me laugh
Capcom
every
just
single
said
time. Every single time, dude.
Big white dude with a brown hair and a crew cut. That's Chris Redfield. And you're like, no, it ain't.
Just letting Leon age gracefully, and then whatever the heck plastic surgery Chris is going for every 2 seconds. Fair play to him, But yeah, Resi 5 is a very interesting thing. Resident Evil at this point, 5 and 6, is a very interesting kind of phenomena because it's taking the wrong lessons from 4 in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah,
but also it's just there's that era of gaming that those 2 games fall into where it's like you just look at them and someone tells you the release date and you're like, it makes sense, it just falls in line with everything that was happening around that time. You're like, I guess that's what was happening.
this can be applied to both 5 and 6, but they both came out in that time where just the industry as a whole didn't quite know what to do with horror games.
Yeah, from Resident Evil 5 does the buddy co-op shooter thing instead of being a horror game. And then AAA horror games just evaporate with the exception of I think Dead Space 2 comes out a couple of years later and then nothing until The Evil Within just holding the fort down.
I think Resident Evil 5, it was Resident Evil 5 or 6 came out at the same time as Silent Hill Homecoming. Where you're a former army vet and you're doing dodge rolls away from Pyramid Head. So I'm like, it was just a really awkward time for horror games.
This is right in the middle of shooter mania as well. Action games, action shooting, that was it was the genre, right?
Oh yeah.
PS3 generation was also when the Japanese devs were all just full push on appealing to Western audiences by
they went for
being more like Western games. Instead of doing the cool things that made them unique.
Yeah, totally. It's a really it's an interesting relic. I think the testament to 5 is at least in comparison to 6, right? It's like 5 has its fans. There are people that did like and enjoy 5, and I think it's mainly if you have a good friend that you play it with, you can have a bit of a laugh with it. It's like there's an enjoyable experience to be had if if you have the right kind of person to play it with. Is it a Resident Evil experience? Not necessarily. Is that what you want to go in? Not necessarily, but when you look at 6, and you're like, I can at least go, well, 5's,
you could kind of cling to okay, 5 had Chris Redfield just punching the boulder to get through the lava.
That's a generation defining moment, by the way. That is a generation.
Yeah, it is absolutely. So you could be like, all right, it's got a little bit of that sort of residual campiness, but not enough of it to make it super interesting, because they still had to keep it this is the Xbox 360 era, so we have to keep it to I'm the big serious action man. Resident Evil 6 has nothing.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. Is it's Chris and Shiva. You've got you've got that consistent kind of narrative as you go through it. You have got what is essentially a pretty bare bones, but like I say, it can be a fun enough co-op experience where you can kind of zone out. If you don't care, if you're not like the biggest Resident Evil fan and you don't care about the narrative, you can kind of just zone out. You can kind of just play it as a co-op action game, and you can have a decent enough
Yeah.
time. Resident Evil 6 has this problem where it's split into flipping chapters, and it's like there's no good way to play it from a story perspective. Let's be real. When someone goes to you, oh, by the way, if you want to enjoy this story, you're best playing Leon chapter 1, then going and doing Chris, and then doing this, and then doing that, back to that. And it's just like, if you have to follow an instruction manual for someone to go to best enjoy the story without being spoiled, you should do it in this. I'm like, get in the bin. Like, what
I
are we
think
doing?
one of the most confounding decisions about 6 is that they decided to keep the stupid partner up thing that they had going with 5, but instead of like putting the characters that we know and it like together, like Leon and Chris, make them do things together, they're split up and they get they get more doofuses for sidekicks.
Hmm.
Who was that? Who was Chris's? Was his name Pierce?
Oh
Something
God,
stupid like that.
I forgot
Ada
about
and insert your name, insert person here. Yeah, that's great.
I forgot
Yeah.
about Chris's stupid sidekick.
And then like
Avoid the topic.
I don't remember the name of Leon's sidekick either, but it was not Hunnigan, because Hunnigan was over the radio, and I don't know if she was in 6 at all. But some lady who
Oh God,
actually
was she?
had combat experience.
Also, six absolutely fucking wasted Wesker.
You mean his kid or just Wesker
Yeah,
as a concept?
His legacy,
Yeah.
his kid, just like all of it. I'm like, why even bother?
That's the annoying thing about that little thread specifically is like
Yeah.
I think at the very, embryonic stage of the concept, Wesker's kid teamed up with Sherry or whatever. That's kind of cool if it were in a completely different game under different circumstances.
Yeah, if it were not in 6.
Mm.
And it's like it's kind of a bummer because it's like 6 is like the game we got like it's fucking Smash Ultimate. The gang's all here. Like all of the characters make an appearance in 6 in some capacity and they just do nothing with them.
And then I think Claire just got
perfect,
left out of the party
Yeah,
entirely.
It's perfect though. It's that slop. It's like you gotta respect the graph. That's the thing is, it's like they just went. It's like they saw almost. They had the insight there. They saw the kind of the Marvel kind of enshittification of media, but before it happened, like they were on the precipice of that, where they were just like. You know what people love? When you just smash all the action figures together and then someone goes, hang on, do we have a good reason? Nah, dude, just smash the
Nah.
action figures together.
Yeah,
And by the
like,
way,
straight up,
don't,
one
yeah,
scene in the game where Chris and Leon, whatever the manufactured conflict where they can get the trailer shot of them pointing the guns at each other, I think is brought up and resolved in the same 5 minutes.
you gotta respect the graft. You've really got to respect it, And it's like, people haven't learned either. It's like, I know we'll do a vibe check on Requiem as we get to the end of the retrospective, but the amount of people that I'm sitting there that are like, I want this character and this character and this character and this character and this character, and I'm like, guys, let's just ask for a good game. Ask for a good game.
Yeah.
You don't need those
When I
Marvel
was hearing
glub.
about-
You don't need those glub shito moments of going, it's my favorite. They're there. I'm like, just enjoy it. Just enjoy
Yeah.
the experience. Have a good time.
Yeah, like even when, Leon was leaked and rumored and whatnot for all that time, I'm like, well, I'm not going to complain to see Leon again, but also I hope at this point they just tell us about him. That way it doesn't feel like he pulls the rug out from under Grace there.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting. 6 is a fascinating video game. It genuinely is, because it's like in any other franchise that would and very much could have been the end of it. Like it's like it is a masterclass on what not to do with a franchise, and you've got to kind of respect it at that point. When you tick so many of the wrong boxes, you just kind of gotta go fair play
And live. Yeah.
yeah, live.
Gosh, because didn't 6? Well, no, God, when did 6 come out? It was
2012,
2012, I think.
2012. so like it was exiting that like kind of awkward era where they didn't quite know what to do with horror games.
Yeah.
But
By then we had Amnesia, which kind of set the template for horror games in the indie space, and
oh yeah,
it took forever for it to catch on the AAA end of things still,
As
but
it always does. Yeah.
because gosh, I like I said, I think that was like around the same time like Silent Hill Downpour was coming out, and like AAA just really generally did not have any clue what to do with these franchises.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kind of took the Avengers path of just everybody is here, and
Which is
I'm like
funny
Ada
because
Wong is
Avengers
there
came
for
out the
some
same year.
reason.
They didn't even copy anything. This is they were innovators in the slop. They were slop innovators, mate. They genuinely, it's like this game started development years before Avengers even came out because it was the same year. They were on top of it, dude. Like Capcom were cooking, dude. They were cooking poison, but they were cooking it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really all I have to say about 6.
Yeah.
I think that's plenty enough of 6, to be honest. And
Yeah, I
At
five.
think
least 5 was mechanically polished enough.
Like I say, you can make an excuse of there's an argument to be had of someone having a good enough time with 5. Not a good time, but enough fun to be had where you can have a couple of goose and gash. You can watch someone punch a boulder and go, hey,
Yeah.
funny that. Whereas 6, you're
Wesker's performance in
genuinely,
5 was really good. That's the
yeah,
one positive I
Yeah,
always throw it.
totally. But
he was
yeah,
definitely at his Weskiest.
Yeah.
6.
So here I've got a break between 6 and 7 for any of the spin-offs you might have played, if you did.
I vaguely recall what was the one for the Nintendo, was it the DS or the 3DS? The one where
That's
they had,
Revelation, right?
I think it was Revelations, where they had Jill Valentine dressed up in the Zero suit for some reason.
Oh, classic.
That's about all I
Right.
remembered about that specific game. I remember it controlled like hot dog water, and I got frustrated about 4 hours in because it was a Resident Evil game on the Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
Um and the camera really, really, really liked going directly up Jill's backside. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Can I see what's happening on the
Hell yeah, they got
screen,
that
please?
Bayonetta camera, baby. They got that Bayonetta camera. You love to see it, dude.
Oh yeah. So
Pretty
I'm like,
please, the
that's
screen space isn't big anyway. Let me see
oh
what I
yeah.
can do.
That's when
And
it's
I'm
the
just like,
best, you know what I mean? That's what they're sitting there, and like that's what always makes me laugh when they're like, "Yeah, get that great angle there." I'm like, "Bro, the game's like 240p. What we do it?" You know what I mean? Like, you
get
really want to
all
get a zoom in on
6.
those 6 pixels, dude? Oh
Yeah,
wow,
get
yeah,
all 6 of Jill's pixels on screen.
it's
That's
really
about
gonna get
all
yeah.
I that's the only spin-off I played, and that's about all I have to say. If you really, really, really like Jill Valentine, you'll probably really, really like this one.
Yeah. I never played any of the spin-offs myself, but my brother at one point did buy Operation Raccoon City, which
Ooh,
was one of their goofy multiplayer experiments. I think maybe the first one, where it was basically just Call of Duty with the Resident Evil characters inexplicably, and they had some
hell yeah.
facsimile of a story mode. I think they were trying to sell on the idea that you could alter the events of
Gosh,
the series or something.
what
But
platform was that for?
that would have been PS3 and probably the 360 as well.
Yeah, because I was about to say, wait, I vaguely recall this one.
Yeah.
I think I played this at a New Year's Eve party
Oh, really?
Mm.
when I was in college, and I remember having a okay time, and that's about all I have to say about it as well.
Yeah. My
Lovely.
brother played it. He seemed to like it all right. Apparently, killing people with melee was impressive, from what I recall, but that's all I got.
I mean, that's kind of like an interesting jumping off point because I'm like, I even think in a lot of the bad Resident Evil games, the gunplay and the combat is still fun. Like, they're
Yeah.
all kind of different. Like, 4 feels different from 5. Well, I have to exclude 6 from this conversation because the combat was not fun in that one, somehow. But even, like, the not great ones, the combat was still interesting. Like, it didn't make you feel like you were fully fighting against the game or the console. It's one of the reasons why I didn't like Revelation, because I'm like, this is kind of hard to play. Um,
Life of a
so
3DS game.
yeah. Because again, I'm like 5. I'm like the actual gunplay in 5, it felt good. Like the haptic feedback, it was good. It's just the rest of it, all the other stuff around it.
Yeah.
So them making like a multiplayer, like a mercenaries mode kind of game did make a lot of sense at the time.
The thing that's weird to me about their insistence on trying this is that they've never just done Mercenaries but multiplayer.
Gosh, did they?
Like,
Well,
I know that
they
there was like
released
a
one
DS
later.
spin-off called Mercenary that was just the Mercenaries mode, but I don't think that had anything, like, I don't think you could queue up with a friend with it, and also the DS was probably fighting you still, so.
Yeah.
True.
I'm sure there's going to be some very, very angry Nintendo DS fans
Let him have
uh
it. Let him have it.
logging
Little
onto my
nerds, little
location, but I'm
nerds.
like, the only thing that was worth playing on the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo 3DS was Pokemon and maybe the
Dude,
Ace Attorney series.
Ace Attorney series is pretty good, but it's other places now, so it doesn't matter.
to be fair,
Yeah,
I was a Nintendo handheld kid, so I didn't never had the home consoles, but I did have the handhelds, and I genuinely played 90%. It was just Pokemon. It was a bit of Mario Kart, but yeah, I was just Pokemon machines, dude, and then Animal Crossing for New Leaf, and then that's
I was going to say I had Animal Crossing New Leaf.
yeah,
But I'm
banger.
like, I don't know why they thought put a Resident Evil game on this console
A
that
very
has a 2-inch
action-intensive
screen.
game.
Dude, that's just what they were doing back in the day. You know what I mean? It's like Peace Walker and stuff for the PSP, where it's just like, you know, every God of War had a PSP game. It's like every franchise had a mobile game, like a handheld game that for some reason, you know, had some significance. It wasn't just like a port or some kind of weird thing. You know, everyone
I
Yeah.
had it.
I promise I won't get too off track, but I had a PSP and the only game I had for it was Star Wars Battlefront, and awful game to play on a screen that small.
Yeah, I bet.
I also had a PSP, and its primary function was playing the 3 old games that I had on it. I think it was Metal Gear Solid, Crash 2, and something else that's escaping
Oh,
me.
yeah.
One of the
I
Final
also had a
Yeah.
Fantasies, I
PSP, and I
think.
also played the Crash and Spyro like PSP classics or whatever on it. That's my main thing.
It was also where
Um
my
And Crash
music
Tag Team
lived. I
Racing.
carried it around like an MP3 player for most of the time.
Oh yeah, rock on.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Nintendo DS, because I know there were multiple other Nintendo DS and 3DS Resident Evil games.
Yeah,
What they
because I
were
think
called,
Revelations got a sequel, if I
Yeah, Revelations
recall.
2. Yeah.
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 And I really only needed to play that one to go, I think I'll just stick
I think I'll
to the
pass.
console games.
I'm
Yup,
good.
I'm
I'm good.
good.
Yeah.
They experimented, they did some funky things with it. Couldn't tell you what the story was about. Don't know why Jill was in like a biometric skin suit the whole time.
Let it be, dude. Let her live a life.
She was also blonde, so I'm like, oh, you're
I've made
not
that
escaping.
change.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not escaping the Samus allegations.
No.
Like, I remembered booting this up and I was like, this is just Samus Aran. But it's Jill.
Games to play. Resident Evil Revelations. It's
Yeah, but those are my only thoughts about the spin-offs.
Yeah. Like, I've heard things about the Umbrella Chronicles and Dark Side Chronicles, but I've never done it. Played those ones, so you know.
Because gosh, there's like a pretty hefty list of spin-offs, isn't there?
There's more than you would think.
Yeah, there's a lot more than you'd realize. And it's interesting that nobody jumps out of their way to go like, "Oh my god, you have to play Revelations for the 3DS." Like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be people watching this going, "Oh my god, yeah, I forgot that existed."
Yeah.
This is the nature of Japanese franchises, though. A lot of the
Oh
time
yeah.
is it's like Kingdom Hearts, and it's 65 side entries where you're like, okay, but do any of them matter? And there will be people that, hand on heart go, yes, and then there'll be other people who are like, nah, it doesn't matter. None of this really matters, does it?
358 Days Over 2 has shooters.
Yeah, there
Don't
you
ever
go.
say anything bad about that game. They
Bro, it
will
was a
come
boring
after
movie,
you.
dude. There's no video game. It's a boring movie, dude. And I've watched it like 3 times, and I wish I hadn't watched it once. And that's my review of 358 over 2. But it's like Persona or whatever. It's like, there's no, people aren't sitting there screaming from the rooftops, dude. Oh, you've got to play Persona 5 Tacticum. Hey, it changes everything. No, it's just a spin-off. Leave it be. If you're sicko enough to play it, go play it. Have a great time. But if not,
Persona
it's fine.
5 Dancing All Night.
Yeah, it's Dancing in Starlight actually. With the Persona 3 version being Moonlight. Dancing All Night's Persona 4. I mean, it's a simple mistake, but we've got to put it on record.
One.
Yeah, it's Dancing in Starlight. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Persona 5 one.
People hate it,
Don't know why.
I don't know why. I think the only crime it committed was, why would you release a rhythm game when you haven't done any of the spin-offs yet? So you just have all this music that you just never used. Bit of a waste, but hey ho. What can you do? Why hasn't Resident Evil done a rhythm game, Hunter?
Oh, that's a good question. They've got some
I
tunes.
I know, right? A couple of remixes, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get the Las Plagas guys dancing in the middle of the courtyard. I think it'd be a good time.
Glory a las plagas. And you're just pressing the button and sing with it.
Just breakdancing in the background, dude. It's gonna be pretty sick.
Oh, that'd be good.
Oh, dear,
anyway,
right.
Resident Evil 7.
Right, it's rot time. I'm going for a pee while you do this, dude, where you talk about rot.
They finally, course corrected the ship back to something that was working for them, honestly. I've seen mixed opinions about Resident Evil 7 throughout the years. A lot of people really love it. Some people are like, first person offends me spiritually, blah blah. Whether you like it or not, I think this was definitely the first step on the generational comeback Capcom.
I'm firmly in the I love it camp. Like hard. I love Resi 7. I have played through it and beaten it twice. I attempted to play the VR version, and VR makes me sick, so I can't actually play it. But what I did play of it, I was like, this is a nightmare. 11 out of 10.
Yeah. I played it just a couple of weeks ago, I think. Because when I saw it come out and it got a bunch of people liked it at the time, but I wasn't ready to care about Resident Evil again yet. I had been pretty disillusioned by the past several years of the series at that point.
Which is fair.
Yeah. So, when they came around with the remake of 2, I thought of, and it looked good, that's when I hopped back on the horse, and I just took a long time to get back to this one. And yeah, I would say it's pretty good. It's not my favorite one, but I think it ranks well above all of the ones that we were having less kind words for earlier.
Oh yeah. For me, one of the things about Resident Evil that Resi 7 that I liked the most was how different it felt from the previous installments. They switched to full on first person, which again wasn't really something that the franchise did a lot of. It wasn't really what it was known for, and a lot of people kind of complained. They were like, "Oh, it's gonna make it feel like AAA horror game slop." But I actually really liked that Ethan didn't really have a face for us to latch on to. I liked the switch to first person. I think they did a really good job at it. Yes, it's a gross mold house, but it's a really scary gross mold house.
Yeah, that's one of the things where I do feel like sometimes I was sitting there I feel like I'm more just grossed out than scared, but other times feel like they had the they had the juice going. Like I remember the the lady in the wheelchair just popping up every now and
Oh,
then,
awful.
just being
Awful
like,
affectionate.
because she never did anything, until
No.
you learn about her. But you're just sitting there like every time you'd walk by her, I'd always like look back, be like, I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop here.
Chill back there, mama. All
Waiting
right,
for the
okay.
spooks. Waiting for the
I see
Yeah.
spooks.
you. She's very disquieting. And I think that's how I would describe a lot of the characters from Resident Evil 7. They're all just like even like they were really unpredictable and really erratic. And like in the moments where they weren't trying to chop your head off, they were just so uncomfortable to be around. Uh
Yeah.
in a way that I really, really, really vibe with and really, really love.
Yeah, I think all three of the Baker family have pretty solid contributions to the story. I'd say
Yeah,
the Let's say the one thing that I was kind of feeling, but I feel like Jack, oddly enough, was a little underutilized
I'll agree. Yeah.
because it feels like the order in which you deal with them is goofy. I think is the best way to describe it. Like I
You
feel like Jack should have been the last one,
yeah, I
just
feel like
harassing you, and
we
then like maybe
dispatch
Lucas should
him
have been
we dispatch
first.
him very quickly, I feel. Well, but not very quickly, but like when you finally like when you have the garage confrontation with him,
Yeah,
I'm like I thought I was like, "Oh, this was pretty short. Like we're ending the game,
yeah,
right? Like this is the final boss fight." I was like, "This is Resi 7 was really short." And then there were like 7 more hours that followed.
yeah.
Only if you're me because you got lost and didn't pay attention.
It's not just you. Fun fact: this is the only Resident Evil game my dad hasn't finished. He just gave up on it. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, it just never clicked with him. He really didn't like just kind of just the mainly the house. It was just there's something about it where he's just like, I'm just sick of being stuck in this goddamn place and I can't figure it out. And he just gave up, which is interesting. Um, just something about that game, I guess. It's the only
No,
one that I don't still have a physical
it's
copy of.
it's because I mentioned it earlier. It was really the first one that decidedly did not feel like it was a Resident Evil
Mm.
game. And
Yeah.
I noticed that is like the biggest critique of it is people are like, it Chris Redfield shows up at the end in a looking like a completely different man for the 6th time in the franchise, but he does show up at the end and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, that's right. This is a
Mm.
Resident Evil game." Like that's when it hits you again. It got a lot of comparisons to like the Evil Within in the Evil Within 2. Um,
That was probably like if you don't delve into the indie scene, that was like your last that was like your last point of reference, to be fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
And people during that time they were definitely like the Evil Within feels more like a Resident Evil game, and they're
And
kind
that's
of right.
because Shinji Mikami made it, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm like, you're right in a way. Um, I personally, I really loved 7. I loved it a lot. Maybe I liked it because it felt so different, and it
Yeah, that's
to
fair.
me,
You know.
it it felt like I don't know. It just kind of felt like coming off the heels of like 6. I'm like, ooh, okay, they're kind of injecting some new life into the series. But if you're a diehard, I can absolutely understand why you hated it
Like
or why
even
someone would
before
hate it.
release and whatnot, I was like, well, at least they're going back to horror.
Yeah.
Was my main positive takeaway before I ever played the game in the first place. And then, doing it all
Yeah.
those years later was pretty solid. And there were a couple of things that were elements of campiness there, like Ethan getting his hand chopped off only to spray the green goop on it and glue it back on. That is something that I could imagine happening in one of the older games. Your right hand comes off.
Oh
Sure
yeah.
does.
Oh gosh. I think he's a DC villain, arms fall off boy.
Yeah.
This is a real
Oh,
superhero
man.
character. I'm not making him up.
Oh,
Because I
man.
referred to Ethan as that several times throughout my playthroughs of both 7 and 8. I'm like, here he goes, losing his limbs again.
It's the only thing they can do to him. You can't see the rest of him.
Bro. Lame
But
ass,
yeah.
bro. Like a little lame ass. It's an interesting one. I always think 7 is, like I say, it was what the series needed at that time. Is it needed that kind of experimental phase? It's a Marmite game in a way, but it's like it's not because it's bad. It's just because either you jive with it or you don't. And
Or
I
you
think
don't.
it's cool. You know, I like that they took that risk and it's worked. And you know, for the most part, you know, as we move into 8 and then 9, you know, it's kind of
Yeah.
it's moved Resident Evil. You know, they've taken a couple of steps back towards more classic Resident Evil, but they've still kept that first person there. That's still you know, a part of this
Mhm.
kind of modern trilogy, I guess, of games here. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And even to the extent of like a lot of what they did in 7 was like a test bed for what would go on in, you know, the remake of 2, as far as Jack being this roaming heckler was
Mhm.
very much the
Mhm.
kind of blueprint they were using when improving on with Mr. X
Mhm.
in the next game. And the menus are pretty much the same.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a
Shock
lot
and
of
horror.
7 was, modern experimentation, but it also did kind of lay the groundwork for literally everything that would come after. Um, and I think overall, I personally think it's been a positive change because I currently of from 7 and onwards, because I did touch on 7 VR, which a horrible experience, awful, affectionate.
Mm.
I've genuinely liked pretty much everything that's come out after 7. Do I have criticisms of it? Sure, but I'm like I really like the direction that they pivoted to. I think the changes that they made with 7 overall were, I don't want to say the right ones, but positive ones.
It was the step in the direction that they needed to go.
Yeah.
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 I mean, yeah, it's kind of started what, you know, I affectionately call, you know, the renaissance of Resident Evil in a way. It's like, you know, it
Renaissance of Capcom in general, I would say.
Yeah.
Like,
uh, yes and no. You know, they're still Capcom's still Capcomming. You know, they're still releasing Monster
well,
Hunter
yeah,
ports
but
that
they're
don't
but they're
work. But
still
yeah,
playing. Their successes are so big that that doesn't matter right now. Whereas
they're
before,
still making
they were just
questionable game
all.
decisions at times. But yeah, Resident Evil's doing all right. Yeah. Um. But no, you know, if seven was the step in the right direction, 2 was definitely cementing it as a
Yeah,
return
it
to
cemented
form.
the
Yeah.
pattern.
So yeah, the Resident Evil 2 remake, the first of
Oh,
these remake projects that are probably going to carry on for the next decade.
yeah. Oh,
Uh
yeah.
Thought I was gonna hate 2 remake when I first went in. Um I thought weirdly, I was like, it's too much polish when I first saw like the trailers for it. Got my hands on it, played it. I'm like, I was wrong. I was wrong. 2 remake slaps. I'm having a blast.
Oh, yeah, it's so
Um
good.
yeah, I'm like, it's so good. It's really everything about Resident Evil 2, the original, but again, like elevated. I heard somebody recently call like Resi 2, 3, and 4 remake slop, like remake slop, and I'm
Oh, here
like,
we
I
go, dude.
strongly
Can
disagree.
we save
I'm like,
slop for the real world, for the real games that deserve it? There are games in
I'm
this
like,
series that do.
we're gonna take the word slop away from certain people, I think, because I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes, they were all phenomenal. But
Yeah, like
We've
so
got to
good.
the era though, haven't we? We've got to that era of unfair criticism, which is like, you know, I feel like people love to nitpick and people love to make a mountain out of a molehill these days. It'll be something, small. It's like, oh, I wish they would have done this. And they'll turn that into, no, that is objectively a fault and it's the worst thing ever made. You know what I mean? Like, this
Oh,
is what everybody does now, where it's like,
yeah.
this game's
I remember
awful. You should
the
never play it. And I'm like, give him a break, dude.
I remember one of the stupid like specific people at the time of this one's launch getting a real bee in their bonnet about the fact that there were no like scenario swapping things. Like you could do
Yeah.
the Leon with
Yeah.
do Leon first and Claire second or vice versa or whatever, and there was none of like the interplay with, oh, you can leave one of your items behind for when you come through with the next one. But I don't really think that mattered for what they were doing this time, you know.
I think I had an enjoyable time regardless of not having that aspect, and I don't think it hindered my gameplay in any way, in like any meaningful way.
Yeah,
So, and like I get if you were a really, really, really big fan of the original for the PlayStation 1, not having that would be the end of the world for you. But
Play the old one, mate. Like that's my
play the
kind
old
of thing.
one.
Is if you're doing a remake, I think what Resident Evil has done well, for better or for worse, is you know they have made changes and there are differences between them, and they're not. They stick. They're very they're staying true to what made Resident Evil 2 Resident Evil 2, what made Resident Evil 4 Resident Evil 4.
Oh yeah.
But they're not sitting there and going, this is the Bible, right? And it's like, there's so many remakes which people hate, like the Bluepoint remake of Demon Souls, for example, where it literally just is, a one-for-one carbon copy of that video game. It's just got a different art style,
Yeah.
and people will they act as if it's like it's like the sign of the apocalypse is coming because Demon Souls remake has released, and I do not like the art style. And it's just like that. I'm like, fair enough, because it is literally a one-to-one. You can have that personal choice. When it's like, there are, Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 2 original are fundamentally different video games. You can play
completely
both of
different
them and have,
animals.
yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
have a great time. And also, it's not like it's not available. You know what I mean? Like, Capcom just loves dumping everything everywhere these days. So it's like,
Yeah.
you can get your hands on the original Resident Evil 2 pretty easily. Um,
And I
I
think
yeah, it's a non-issue to me, to be honest. It's like, yeah, it would have been nice to have these things. It's wishful things. It's like, I wish they had that. I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
cool.
Cause I think also I think when it comes to remakes, um yeah, are the old Resident Evils pretty fairly accessible? Yes. But also I think the remakes make old games accessible to a new audience
Yeah, 100%.
who are
Wouldn't
unused
try
to,
them.
Yeah.
yeah, who wouldn't otherwise try them for a number of reasons. They don't like, the old 32-bit PlayStation 1 look. They don't like, tank controls and how that plays. I think well done remakes do serve a purpose, and I'm a little bit tired of hearing remakes being all written off as slop, because I'm like, sometimes I think they are necessary to keep the franchise feeling alive. And
Yeah,
that's kind of how I feel about 2, 3, and even 4 to a degree, because I know people were not super jazzed about 4 initially, and then they remembered, well, 2 and 3 were pretty good, so maybe.
yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, I mean, you have multiple people, people adore the Resident Evil 2 remake. And I think
Oh,
it's for good reason,
I think it's still my favorite of the bunch presently, as far as I think that the exploring the Raccoon City Police Department that way with the, closed off or the very claustrophobic over the shoulder
Yeah.
camera and whatnot. That game is extremely wet all the time. That's one of the most observable takeaways you can have just at any glance of the game is how wet everything is.
Mm.
And, you know, it's one of those things. I distinctly remember playing it and being like, Mr. X was the just he's one of my favorite just pursuit enemies ever. I remember being like paranoid about my own footsteps, thinking that was him coming. It was great.
I didn't think he was gonna scare me that much, like, presented in high fidelity, because when I first saw him, I was like, "Oh, he just kinda looks like a
He's a
big
big
guy in a
guy in a
coat."
trench coat and a hat. What's so
I was like,
intimidating?
this dude's a little goofy," but the first time I actually experienced the chase sequence, I was like, "I don't like Mr. X. I don't wanna see Mr. X again."
Okay, so the one that really got me when I was playing was when he he had hassled me a couple times by then, but when you get back to like the lobby of the police department, which was mostly like a safe space up to that point because it had the typewriter there, he breaks the
Yeah.
rules. He continues to
Oh,
pursue you.
no.
I didn't know that before I had saved the game there, and then I was just kind of spawn trapped for a minute until I could run away.
I
It
think
was
when he showed up
hysterical.
in the police station, I think I audibly shouted, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I was very upset.
Sanctuary!
But yeah, I think that was kind of like a testament to like how well they managed to subvert again, like they managed to really subvert your expectation. You go into a room with a typewriter, uh, pre-established rules about Resident Evil. This is a safe room. This is where nobody's gonna pursue you. And then they said, "Lol, LMAO." Nah.
And they only violate the sanctity of that rule in that specific room too,
Oh
because it's
yeah.
like the big open one. It's not like if you go into like you can sit there and play peekaboo with him in any other safe room.
Oh yeah. But
Yeah.
again, they kind of consistently play with expectations in that regard. I think uh from 7 and onward throughout the remakes and even a little bit in Village, and I really like it when they do that.
Yeah.
I think it makes for some of the most effective moments in the newer games. And I don't know, people who write it off as just being remake slop, I'm like, you're really missing out on some genuinely well-crafted moments like that.
I feel like half the people who are crying this are also people who didn't play the originals either, is the funny part. They're
People who
just
did play
angry.
the originals and also people who have absolutely zero intention of playing the remakes to begin
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you're just mad to be mad because I guess the companies that make them made you angry, but be angry
Yeah.
about a different thing. Be angry about something else that they did, you know?
Um, I when it comes to 3 remake,
This is the one that seemed to really get people's goat
Yeah, this
when
is the
it came
one.
out.
Yeah.
yeah. I thought it was good. I know we
Me
talked
too.
earlier about anything less than an 8 out of 10 is unplayable garbage. I don't ascribe to that theory. I gave 3 Remake a solid 7 out of 10. Enjoyable experience. Had a good time. Not anything like super dazzling or phenomenal, but I'm like building off of 2. It was good. It was a solid experience. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I remember this came out. This is like the episode 3 of the podcast was my first impressions of this game. But
Too long.
uh I played it I played it in like a single sitting and it was great. It was a fun little, thrill ride that way. I can
Yeah.
see complaints that people have, especially if it was like your favorite one. Being upset that the clock tower is gone is fair enough. They did kind of defang Nemesis, mechanically anyway. They
Yeah.
try to set piecify him, and that works to varying degrees depending on who you are.
Yeah.
But no, I really liked Jill's performance in the remake of 3. I remember liking her more in that than I did in the original, just as a character.
Yeah, I think like also when it comes to like 3 again, I do think 3 remake is actually a little bit shorter. I know that time dilation can feel weird when it comes to older games, but I think my biggest complaint about 3 was that it was kind of short.
Yeah,
I think that's most people's main complaint with the game is that it is rather short.
Yeah.
Um
especially
which I can
compared to
kind of
2.
understand. I can kind of understand. I think in retrospect now, I don't think it's as big of a deal. I can understand if you say bought the game when it came out for full price and then you got like a 6-hour game
I
with
can
a
understand.
half-baked multiplayer mode attached in for full price. I can
Yeah.
understand why you might feel a bit pissy about it.
Yeah, if you're buying it today where Resident Evil games are, 70% off every Friday
Yeah.
and complaining about the length of the game, I think you're being a little silly.
Yeah,
But
looking
definitely
at
when
how
it
long to
dropped.
beat, it's like, yeah, it's like 6 hours at best. That's like pushing it. It's
Yeah.
like 5.5 hours. Some people beating it in 4, and it's like, yeah. Could you imagine
I think
buying a
it was like
game?
five
for
and a
s-
half.
Can you imagine
gig,
buying a
yeah.
game? Like, yeah, you bought the game. It's release date. You just paid $60 for the video game. You put it in. You're like, oh, can't wait for my first night of Resident Evil 3 remake, and it's the only night because you're just done. And it's like, oh,
'Cause
I
it's
guess
done.
that was it. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I can kind of understand the frustration a little bit.
Yeah, I think because like gosh, there was like a year between 2 and 3, wasn't there? The remakes.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
pretty quick.
I remember the
History
announcement.
repeats itself.
Yeah. I remember the announcement for 3 coming out shortly after 2's, shortly into 2's like life cycle, and I was like, that's really fast, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
then
the whole you can go.
yeah, and then I was just about to say, and then you found out like, okay, they cut some stuff and it's about 5 hours long. I'm like, all right, that tracks why it only took them a year.
Yeah, the whole reason that happened was because originally Capcom was like trying to package them together as like a
A
Raccoon
double
City
pack,
kind of
yeah.
thing. And
Oh,
then they
that's
were like,
interesting.
we're just gonna split them, and 3 will be its own thing that can still come out because they were pretty much being developed concurrently. It seemed,
Huh.
you know.
That's interesting. I actually didn't know that.
There
Yeah,
you
it
go.
was something that made it make a lot of sense when I learned that.
Yeah. Like I said, I think like it was good. I would recommend it if you have no intentions of playing the PlayStation 1 Resident Evil 3. Like yeah, maybe give the remake a try, especially if you played 2 and enjoyed 2.
Yeah, that's
Um
about the metric I would use if you liked the remake of 2 and want to play another one that's like it. Do
it's
that.
it's kind of the middle child of the remakes,
Yeah.
ironically, because it's literally in the middle of the remake cycle. But it's again, I'm like it's not as good as 2. It's still good, but it's not as good as 2, and it does not have the prestige that 4 has. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have the name brand power, for lack of a
The
better way to put
legacy.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the legacy.
Uh,
But I feel like, yeah, if you spend like nowadays, you're buying these games for like what, $10, like if that. You can probably get it cheaper now in sales. I think it's like on Steam or whatever. I got all of the Resident Evil games up until like Village for like $15 altogether, like in a humble bundle. Like you can get these
Yeah.
games for super cheap. I think if you got the game for like $10 and it's only like 6 hours, I feel like you're like, hey, that was a good 6 hours. I had a great time. I feel like it's a much
Yeah.
different proposition now than it was when it came out
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Given some distance.
oh,
Uh
6 years ago.
God, was it 6 years ago already?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Damn.
Yeah,
Um,
that is. Oh,
Well,
anyway,
no, that tracks because Village came out in 2021 and Resident Evil
yeah.
Village kind of consumed my life for a little bit.
Yeah, it sure did.
let's
That was
talk
around
about
the
it.
time I started talking to you.
Yeah, it was. So I got really super into Resident Evil Village when it came out in 2021. Um at the time I had a TikTok account with about 25,000 followers. Um that I actually abandoned because of this game, because the fandom that formed around it was very impassioned and very overwhelming. That being said, I still really enjoyed my time with Village. I also understand why people had mixed feelings on it.
Yeah.
Um, it for me personally, I kind of liked going back to the zany haunted house vibes. I really liked the spooky trapped in time Romanian village in the woods. You're somehow
Yeah.
connected. They tie it back to science in that they're fungus clones somehow, and that's why Ethan's arms keep falling off. Um, they did a lot of interesting things with the story. Uh, because the first half of the game, you kind of play through it and you're wondering, how the hell does this tie back in to Resident Evil at all?
Yeah, yeah. And like I
As-
think the only kind of inclination you even got from one of the trailers was you kind of saw like the blue umbrella logo or something.
yeah, well, and the eighth iteration of Chris
Of Chris
Redfield showed
Redfield, yeah.
up.
Chris
Um,
Redfield 8, Chris Redfield
I
7.
think it was him. I think it was him.
yeah, it was definitely Chris Redfield because he shows up at the beginning of the day in Zero Dark 30's your wife and your baby, and I'm like, okay. And then you wake up in Fairy Tale Werewolf Town in Romania, and you're like, where the hell is this going?
Oh, yeah.
And the ride it takes you on is 110% bug fuck insane, and I can see why people hated it, but I really loved it.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I kind of liked that it, rather than being just the singular haunted house, it was almost like you were at a carnival with different attractions this time.
They
Yeah,
Luigi's Mansion 2'd it.
And
They were
kind of.
like,
Yeah,
no, then instead of one mansion, you get like 4 smaller, like, like kind of, they were like experiences. It does feel like a bit like a theme park. It's like these are the attractions. You go to Lady Dimitris's castle, then you go to the fucking creepy dollhouse. Like,
oh
it's
god,
like,
I love that section though.
oh, it's the best part of the game.
House Beneviento with the baby that chases you. I'm like, horrible.
mm.
Yeah.
10 out of
Uh,
10. Absolutely recommend we go into the baby house.
yeah. Because I remember playing it the first time, and because like Dimitrescu was every bit of the marketing for this game,
Mhm.
Oh, she's everywhere.
I was like mildly surprised that we just killed her 2 hours in. I was like, huh, all
I
right.
I fully we killed her like 2 hours into the game, and I sat there. I'm like, don't worry, she's coming back. She'll
It's
be
kind of
coming
like the
back.
Jack Baker thing.
Mm.
Kinda, yeah. And then she didn't come back, and I was like, oh no, we really did murk Lady Dimitrescu like immediately. But I didn't hate what came after. Because I think
Yeah,
there were parts of Resident Evil 7 that felt kind of tedious at some point.
that ship
Like,
near the end.
ugh. I'm like, oh, good. I'm just going through a bunch of gray and brown corridors. And, like, again, I really liked 7, but close to the end, I was like, okay, I'm ready to be done. And when it came to 8, I kind of never knew what was going to happen next, and that kind of made it me want to continue to progress the story because
Yeah,
I'm like, all right, we just killed a big vampire lady with scythe hands and just got chased around by a demon baby in the dollhouse. Uh no idea where this is going to go next, and where it goes next is you fight a giant mutant fish man, and then you fight steampunk monstrosities and a guy who turns himself into a literal battle tank.
yeah.
And I'm
Like,
like, I don't know how you don't have fun doing that.
yeah, it's like one of those things where I guess how much you like it would depend on how much each of those four things like hits for you. And
Yeah.
like for me, the only one that kind of sagged was fighting Murloc Man or whatever. I wasn't super interested in his area.
Yeah, cuz he just kind of turned into a giant like
He's
mutant
just the
fish.
other one.
Yeah, he's just the other one. He kind of just
Which
turned
is
into
funny because we barely even see Benevito.
Oh yeah.
She leaves way more of an impression.
You mostly see her nasty little puppet ghoul that
Yeah.
takes all your Pepsi and calls you a bitch. Like um because like yeah, he just kind of turns into like a big gloopy fish, and then you run around on some rafters and he'll knock into them and then like boss fight over. Then you go hang out with Heisenberg, and that's like immediately more memorable because the dude turns himself into a death tank. So I'm like, yeah, I would say Fishman, you probably could have cut his whole section and you wouldn't have lost anything of importance.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it almost feels like it was there because it would have felt too short otherwise, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
That being said though, loved the boss fight with Mother Miranda. Thought it was absolutely great. I enjoyed Resident Evil Village. If you can look past sort of the goofiness of some of it, I recommend it. I liked it better than 7, 8 out of 10.
There you go. Yeah, I think I like it a little more than 7 as well. Like, yeah, most of the areas were really solid. They kind of had me going with the ending a little bit, where I was like, I don't even like Ethan, but you rug pulling him to give Chris the final battle is weird, and then
Yeah.
they didn't do that, so that's good.
Well, that because like that like tied back to my whole like and Chris Redfield swooping in, and remember Chris Redfield, you love Chris Redfield, the star of Resident Evil. I was
Which
like,
they would
ah,
like every time before, like right around after you get into one of the areas in the town or whatever. By the time you started the next segment, you'd always be like around being like, oh, ominous radio chatter, cryptic
yeah,
metaphor to Ethan, leave.
yeah. Um, so like I will agree. I'm like, we kind of because Chris Redfield took the spotlight a little bit at the end of 7 too.
Yeah.
Like okay, we get it. Chris is here.
Wait till you
So
see the end
I
of
don't know.
9, bro. Wait till you see the end of 9.
Oh no,
Oh no.
I've got a surprise for you.
he looks completely different again. He's even
I've been
bigger
reading the
somehow.
leaks, dude, and I've heard he's
It'd be funny if
7'2".
one of these times he would be smaller. Like, imagine if he just went back to his body type from the first game.
5'5", dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
just let him be. Let him be.
God.
Did you ever go and do like the Rose stuff that came out afterwards?
The DLC, yes, I did.
Yeah. I never did that. How do you like it?
So my biggest issue with the Rose DLC was oh my god, it's repetitive. There's not a ton of enemy variety. Like also the Duke is the villain of the DLC. It's very bizarre. I actually really didn't like the Rose DLC. It's I can't believe I'm going to say this. I feel like for what it was too long. And it doesn't set up so full disclosure, when I first saw the trailer for Requiem, I thought that the main character was going to be Rose, and I was like, "Oh,
considering how the other one ended, that's reasonable."
Yeah, considering how it ended. Also, there were some like threads from the DLC that were left completely untied that I thought like, oh, they're gonna tie those up in Resident Evil 9, and then they were like, this is a different blonde woman.
See, that's the funny thing about the end of Village and whatnot, with the final scene slingshotting you into Rose as like a adult or high school student or whatever. I'm like, ain't no way they're actually slingshotting the series this far into the future.
Yeah.
The real bet is when we get there, will they actually reference it at all? Like, when the timeline eventually gets there, will they actually reference it, or will they just write it off? Like, will they be like, nah, mate, we got too much Chris Redfield to do, and we gone.
Rose has to go find Claire, and you don't get to show up anymore corner.
Stick them in the same.
We have to put
exhibit.
Rose in that unfinished plot on a bus because Chris Redfield needs to just be a large man on screen again. But yeah,
Leon's
that's
got
my
to drop
thoughts on the
kick people at 68. Dude. He's got to drop kick people at 68. It's got to be done.
Also, if you are uncomfortable at watching very violent things happen to young women, probably not the DLC for you, because like there's a bunch of Rose clones and horrible things keep befalling these Rose clones in the DLC, and I'm just like, this was weird. This was a weird experience. Play Village, but skip the DLC.
Yeah, it sounds like another one for Team DLC is for nerds.
Yeah.
So true, dude. So true.
That's my general philosophy when it comes to DLC most of the time.
Also, at the time, because I played it when it was current, the DLC was expensive. It was not cheap.
Oh, yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, so pass on that. You can skip that.
Yeah. Oh, and that brings us to the last one so far. Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Oh, times are flat.
It's Ethan's favorite one.
It's my favorite one, guys. It's my favorite one. Can you believe it? It's the only one I've played properly.
Wow.
Anyway. Wow. In my defense, though, I have played it about 8 times, I think. So, I've played it enough. I've got enough of an opinion on it.
Damn.
Yeah, you played it a lot when it came out.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I kind of got a bit addicted to it, to be honest. Because at first I was like, there's no way I'll ever do the platinum trophy for this because it requires like 6 playthroughs. And then I just kept on going and going and going. I was like, I'm not going to stop a good time.
To be fair, the feedback, the gameplay loop, and like the feedback of 4 Remake is scarily addictive.
Oh, it just feels real good to play.
It does. It
like
feels
they dropped
so
the
fun.
Mercenaries mode like a month or 2 after the game launched, and I was like, well, this is my weekend.
Back in you go. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think the biggest compliment I can give to Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is that this is by all means, it should have failed. Because Resident Evil 4 is one of those games that is just in such high regard that I was like, it doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna please anybody. Like that's why, I was like, they're gonna fuck it up. They're gonna do something wrong. They're gonna do it wrong. Someone's not gonna like it. The fact that they managed to get it out, and I would consider it a success for Capcom if people went, it's fine, it's all good. I'd be like, hey, fair enough. But the fact that people actually properly did, were like, no, I actually really like this. I jive with it, I'm like, fair play. The fact that you managed to do it, you managed to pull it off. Good job. But
I don't want to say I was nervous for 4 Remake.
I think that's fair to say. I think a lot of people were, to be honest. I think a lot of people.
Yeah, I think I was more nervous about the backlash than the actual game because I was like, it looks fine, but it's my concern was that they were going to scrub sort of the fun from it. And then when I booted up 4 Remake and got through the intro and the church bell rings and Leon's like, where'd everybody go? Bingo. I was like, oh, we're so back.
Yeah. I think they did a really good job at keeping the fun from 4 around while making it tonally consistent with the other 2 remakes that they had. Like they ran that line really well.
They obviously, some of the dialogue's changed. Some of it's changed. And I think, for the most part, there'll be people that were like, I absolutely hate that they, what they did to Luis. And I'm like, you know what? Just chill a little bit. I'm like, yeah, it's all fun and games. But yeah, I think it's crazy, again, you're talking about like 3 and the cut content and stuff like that, and it's like, for the most part, obviously no statue chase this time, but for the most part, they got most of Resident Evil 4 in there, to be honest. It's it's a big game. I think that's like
It's huge.
it's huge. It's like first playthrough was like my first playthrough. I can't remember how many hours it was. It was like if you're complaining about 6 hours or whatever for Resident Evil 3, I think my first playthrough was almost 3 times that. It was pretty
Yeah, around
engrossing.
18 hours is
Yeah, it's a
normal
chunky
for a first
experience.
playthrough.
Yeah. But no, it's an impressive game. I adored it, to be honest. I think that, as an entry point into Resident Evil, I think it's a great, if you're not a huge fan of horror, I think it's a good entry point because there is the moments, but for the most part, it's like it comes and goes. There are parts with there's regenerators, there's the claustrophobic first part in the village, obviously. There's bits and pieces, but also then there's a good, 30-45 minutes of just kicking zombies in the head, so you can kind of, it's got that it's a good like kind of balance. I think it's a very balanced experience, really, from an
Yeah.
entry level point of view.
One of my favorite segments in the remake is the armor, the suits
Oh
of
yeah.
armor
Mm-hmm.
chase scene with Ashley
Yeah.
specifically. And she's got the lantern, she's running down the hallway while all the suits are animating, and she just shouts, "This sucks!" And I'm like, "Yeah,
This
me
is
too,
the
girl."
worst. Just having a whole episode while she's running away. It was
Yeah,
really
I was
good.
like, "This is great." Like I personally like what they did with all the characters. They
Yeah.
modernized them, but still kept the spirit of who they are personally. And again, I'm just like, I don't. Other than like a light criticism of, I wasn't wild about like the regenerators. I feel like they didn't have the quite the
They
same
didn't have
amount
the
of like,
punch.
yeah, they didn't have like that same edge as they did in the God, PlayStation 2, GameCube, Resi 4. But if that's really all I have to say about it,
It's
I'm like,
the only thing for me, really.
yeah, I'm like, other than that, I'm like, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
I
I
I've got
think the modification to Luis's story was solid too, as far as like in the first version, it felt more like he was more important after he died than
Yeah.
uh
mhm.
while he was actually on screen. And I feel like they did a better job at setting up, oh hey, he's got something going on here.
Yeah.
Rather than just telling you about it in the folder you find in the island inexplicably.
I know a lot of people initially complained about Ada Wong. But I had no complaints. I thought she was fantastic. I'm like, is it because she's not in the cheap how anymore? Is that the issue? Because I'm like,
I
this
thought that
Ada
her
rocks.
design is solid. People, for some reason, were really mean to the voice
Yeah, it was the
actress, and I
voice,
don't
wasn't
know
it? That was the main
why.
thing. I think
I
was the
thought she
Yeah.
voice.
was.
I thought
I
it was
thought she
fine.
did fine.
Yeah, I thought she was fine.
I mean,
Same
it
with
probably
the
was my least favorite performance, but also that's not a detriment to her particularly. It was just that I really
Yeah, it's
liked the
just
rest of the
everyone else
voice
is real
cast quite a
solid.
bit. Yeah, you know.
yeah.
The guy
We
that
also
got to
spent
do Sadler in that version was really good.
yeah. Overall, I'm just like, it kind of hit every single note of what I wanted, especially from like, not only just from like a modern Resident Evil game, but from a remake standpoint. I'm like, it's fun to play, it looks great, it's well acted. I'm like, I other than again, like my one thing about the regenerators, and that again, that's like my nostalgia because they terrified me when I was a child.
Mm.
So I'm like, I wanted them to be a bit scarier. Other than that, I'm like, it was awesome. I recommend it.
As
Yeah.
somebody who had not played the original Resident Evil 4, so didn't know I was going to, I still thought it was very terrifying enough. I was fine with that. I think again, some of it will be first time experience. As someone who didn't know what the regenerators would do and stuff like that, I was still pretty. I was like, oh my fucking die, just die for fuck's sake,
Please stop.
Yeah.
Alt.
Um
um. So yeah,
yeah,
I
for
still
me
think they
it
were
was
effective.
mostly like an artistic standpoint because in the original they're very like they like shake in a way that like it's definitely due to technicality,
Hmm.
um like limitations of the PlayStation 2, but I'm like, oh, I really don't like the way that they move in the original. And in the remake, I'm like, because it's so high fidelity and it can be more fluid, I'm like, you kind of lose a little bit
They
of
kind of got
that.
the tube man thing going on.
A
Mm.
little bit. That being said, I still didn't want him anywhere near me, and I
Yeah,
still wanted to get out of there whenever they showed up.
yeah, naturally.
Yeah. But no, it's a testament to them, to be honest, that they did manage to do a remake of one of the most beloved games of,
Oh yeah.
of all time, and managed to actually,
Yeah,
live
make
up
it
to
just
expectations,
as good.
make it, just as good. Which rarely happens,
Oh
so
yeah.
fair play to him. And yeah, from a a rookie's perspective, I think it is a great little jumping on point, especially if you're not a huge fan of horror games, or you've not got much experience with horror games, and you don't want to jump into something that'll shit you up straight away. I think Resident Evil 4 is a
Oh
great
yeah.
little starting point, really.
Yeah,
You'll
helps that
shit
Leon's
yourself
such a
enough, but not enough,
likable character.
in bursts. Yeah. I think being Leon helps. He's like, I've gotta be a strong boy because Leon's a strong boy,
Yeah,
I
he
can't
makes you
let Leon
rise to the
down.
occasion.
I can't let Leon down, Leon's not sitting there screaming like a wuss because Chainsaw Guy's just busted down a gate. You know what I mean? Like, I've
Yeah,
gotta
I'm gonna
keep
parry this
composed a little
sucker.
bit. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like it's almost so good that like anything else I have to say about it just kind of feels like it's good. Go play it.
Yeah,
I rarely replay games. The fact that I play through it 7 times is, a testament to it. And my only complaint really is, in retrospect, is again, DLC is for nerds. It's like I enjoyed Separate Ways, but also I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's something about remakes where I'm like, just do it all in one package. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just do it
yeah, I
all
know
in
what
one
you mean.
package.
Especially since it was in one package
Wait
before.
wait 6 months, put it all together. And I know everyone will be saying, well, you can in the gold edition that they released straight after. Now it's all in one. I'm like, that's nice. I
That's
played it when it
not
came
how I
out.
played it though.
Just,
Yeah,
I thought
I
Separate
will
Ways
give
was fine. I
credit
had no
to.
issues with it, but it was
Yeah, I'll give
fun.
credit
But
to them. Like anything they didn't use in the base game, they managed to fit into Separate Ways in a way that I think worked well enough.
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
I think I did I play the Separate Ways DLC or did I skip that? I think I skipped that because I'm like, no, I think
Reasonable.
I only remembered not that it was bad. It was just I had a lot of things going on at the time for Remake came out, and by the time
Yeah.
that they dropped the DLC, I kind of forgot that they put one out again because I'm like, if they had just packaged it with the original, I would
Yeah.
have been able to play it all at once.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was like months later.
Yeah.
It was like in September or October.
It was like it was like the November after it came out or something ridiculous. And you're just sitting there, and you're like,
Yeah.
I think the
I
problem
think
was
there
as well
was
is I
like
played it so many times in the meantime. Then when you get there and it's like it's good, but also half of it is areas like most of it is
That
areas
you've
that
been
you already
to.
play through as Leon. So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh, I'm
yeah.
playing it with less variety because Ada has less tools in her kit. I'm like, okay.
I think there was like a solid year between Resident Evil Village and the Rose DLC too. It was a long time.
Yeah.
Like so that's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
a
I don't
common
ask.
pattern.
I'm not asking for DLC for my linear narrative video games. You know what I mean? Like I can
Yeah.
understand it with open world stuff. I can understand it with, big RPGs wanting to do an expansion. When my 10 to 20 hour linear game is like, oh, by the way, in 8 months' time, here's another like 4 hour chunk. I'm like, just give it to me straight away, or just
Who
put that
asked?
energy into the next one. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah, put that energy into the next one. Give me 4 more hours of Requiem. I'm fine with that. You do you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's a good enough segue.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about Requiem coming up?
I I don't know.
Hmm.
Again, I at first when I saw like the teasers and stuff like that, I thought it was Rose. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. We're gonna really tie up that plot thread nicely, and it would kind of make like a nice like sequel trilogy of 7, 8, and 9 then. Like, okay, 7's about Ethan and Mia, 8's about Ethan and Mia and their baby that got put in a jar, Rose, and then 9 will be about Rose. Okay, cool, that makes sense to me. And then they were like, nope, it's a completely different lady. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. It could still be good. I
Yeah.
have questions still about 7 and 8, but it could be good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things for me is I'm all right with it, mostly because, like, I don't know, I feel like 8 left me off in a place where I was like, yeah, it seems all right.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be the 9 DLC.
Rose DLC too.
Electric Boogaloo, yeah.
This time with more Duke.
Yeah. Oh man.
He's got a
But
rabbit mask on it. It's very weird. Don't play the 8 DLC. It's just weird.
oh man.
No more of that in 9, please.
Oh, I don't think there will be.
Yeah. So, am I still gonna get it? Am I still gonna play it? Yes, probably. I have not been let down by a lot of the new Resident Evil games, so I have no reason to believe that Requiem's gonna be terrible. Um, I was very let's wait and see about Village too.
Yeah. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Go in with expectations tempered and then be wowed when they happen.
Exactly. So, like, nothing about Requiem on the surface makes me go like, "Oh no, absolutely not. We'll wait a year for it to come out." Well, and I might wait a year for it to come out because I'm more frugal now, but not because I'm like
Oh, don't worry. In like 3 months' time, it'll be half off.
70% off on Steam, just as God
Yeah.
intended.
That's the beauty of the Resident Evil franchise. It's like
Yeah.
it's
We
the
made a
opposite of
joke one
Nintendo, dude.
time.
It's the opposite of
Uh,
Nintendo, dude.
We made a joke one time because we were looking at the store, and for some it was like one of the only times, like the
Yeah.
lunar eclipse, where the Resident Evil games were full price on the PSN store, and one of us said something like Resident Evil 2 is 60% on right now.
That's funny.
Gosh, it
Can I
feels
make
like that.
can I make a prediction, Hunter? I want
What's
to make
up?
it clear before as of this being recorded, the critic scores have not gone up for Requiem yet. It's still embargoed. I think it's embargoed till Tuesday. I think I don't remember when the embargo is. Doesn't matter. I'm not
Oh,
playing it.
we score guessing.
Yeah, I think it's gonna get a 91. That's my guess.
I was gonna say 92.
Nah, interesting. Is that great?
I'll
Over under. We'll see who wins. Over under on
Yeah.
that.
I'll be the pessimist. I'll say 90.
I think this
that's
is.
I'll be
I
daring.
I don't know why.
It's just
I've got
scientific
that.
fact that Leon gets 90s. If
I
you go and look.
not Resident Evil 6.
All right.
I just have a feeling about this one. I think that this, just from previews from everything so far, I have the feeling that this is it. I feel like this is it's gonna be very funny when I'm wrong and it gets like a 72 and it's the worst video game ever made. I think this is the
Oh, there's
modern.
no
I
way.
think this is the modern 4 in the making. I really do. I think this is I think the road has led to this point.
Yeah, it seems in a lot
Yeah.
of ways mechanically.
Making a
and what
game that's
they're
half Resident
doing.
Evil 2, half Resident Evil 4 just seems to me like, with the director of 7, it just, to me, this kind of, it's just like everything seems to be adding up, where it's just like
all of the pieces are in
all the
place.
pieces are aligned, where I'm like, I feel like this might be it. I think this might be one for the ages. I could be wrong, but I like to live
Yeah.
on the edge.
Yeah. It's certainly one of the games I've been most excited for this year.
It's the second most anticipated game of the year at the moment, I believe, in terms
Yeah.
of pre-orders
And
and
the
everything.
other
It's
one
right
is
behind
Grand Theft
GTA.
Auto, so
So, but no, I think I genuinely do. I think this is going to be a fantastic game from the little that we have seen, even though Capcom are trying their darndest in
They've
this
been
final
showing us
week
that little bit
to
way too much.
Yeah.
yeah, and they've been trying to sneak ever so closer into spoiler territory. I think they did so good for the first 9 months of this campaign of literally just showing the one level, and now they're getting closer and closer. And I'm like, you're getting too close there to actual spoilers. I think you should stop now.
Yeah. That's kind of like Capcom's MO, especially with
All the
Resident Evil
time.
games.
Japanese developers in general love doing this. I remember
Oh, yeah.
last
Square
week
Enix
during that
offense,
state of
yeah.
play, we talked about how the Death Stranding little trailer for the PC showed just everything in the game, and we were both
Showed the
like,
bloody
"What about the
ending."
people who didn't play that?"
Yeah, really.
Showed the bloody ending. But yeah, I think I genuinely think this is going to be one for the ages. I really do. I don't know why. I just think the stars align. I think you've got, like, say, Resident Evil 4 remake gameplay with Leon, and Nick's back, so I feel like that's going to be a good performance. I think it's going to be good stuff. The stuff that we've seen of Grace so far, like I say, they've finally revealed who's playing her.
That actress is
Phenomenal
doing
performance so
solid.
far.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely phenomenal performance so far. The mixture of third person, being able to toggle if you have a preference, all that jazz. I think it's all leading to a game where it's going to be good. You mentioned earlier, the whole Resident Evil 2 remake not having sections where it's like, oh, if I take this now, it won't be there in the future. They're doing that in 9, where if you go through an area with Leon first and you nick all the shit, the Grace is just shit out of luck. So, I like
oh
this
my
idea.
god, that's like some hilarious 4D chess bullying you can do to her.
My favorite part of that is going to be, there are genuinely going to be moments where you're walking in a place as Leon and you're like, do you think they're going to make me come back here as Grace in like 3 hours time? Do I take this? Do I not? It's going to be interesting. But no, I think, touch wood, I think this game's in pretty safe hands. As for the plot, I don't give a shit, mate. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I think that the team has done so much since Resident Evil 7 that they'd be hard pressed to make a bad game now. Like, they've learned so much, they've taken all the things that they've learned. Aside from like 2 to 3, which like 3 was like, it was good, but like it wasn't as like stellar as 2 remake was.
Yeah.
But if you sort of follow along with all the games they've made, I'm like, it would be genuinely shocking and maybe almost like statistically improbable that it's anything less than like, an 8 or a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it here, and it's like we're talking about Resident Evil 4 remake got a 92, Resident Evil 2 remake got a 92. It's like they basically have taken those, but they've literally taken those two games and just mushed them together and gone half and half. And I feel like,
that means this one's gonna get 184.
And I don't think there's anybody. Yeah, I think it's not contrasting kind of gameplay styles. I don't think there's anybody that's sitting there going, oh, well, you see, I liked Resident Evil 2 remake, but I absolutely hate Resident Evil 4. Like, I think it's like, it's like, yes, they're different, but also it's like, if you're a fan of one, chances are you're also a fan of the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to conflict with each other. I'm sure that some people will sit there. I'm sure there'll be the nitpick debates of, oh, I wish there was more Grace. I wish there was more Leon. They've said it's 50-50. I doubt it will be.
But
my guess is it'll be slightly more Grace, just because I think with Leon you can plow through things a bit easier because you can parry and chainsaw people apparently. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's in good hands though. What do you think, Hunter, as the one that's probably going to be playing it in 3 days' time?
Oh, I think I'm gonna like it for sure. Like I said, among the most anticipated games for me this year, along with Saros, and now I've been gifted a lovely treat of Castlevania sometime this year too. But
don't forget Life is Strange Reunion, game of the year.
Oh yeah, that one.
see you in March. File your taxes, ladies and gentlemen.
But no, I think it's going to
file
be
your gay taxes, Hunter. It's time.
Yeah,
file them in.
I've been jazzed for it.
It's
pretty
gonna
much
be.
since
It's
it was
it's
announced.
fine. You know, the worst case scenario is we show up next week and it's an 85. Like that's the worst case
Yeah.
scenario. I feel
Yeah.
like, you know, it's. I feel like this game's in safe hands. I feel like we would find the game's already out there, by the way. So it's like I feel like if it was a real stinker, we
Yeah,
would have
watch
heard
out for
by now.
spoilers in these next 5 or so days, people.
Yeah, definitely. I don't. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
what I love about not being invested, is because I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna go looking for spoilers, but also I know the algorithm won't try and force them into my feed because it doesn't know that I liked a Resident Evil game.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to wait
I'm
and see.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah,
The old
guess.
Resident
that'll do it.
Lovely.
That's all of them.
Yeah.
We did it. The nightmare is
job.
over.
Good job. Now I finally know how Carl felt during that Persona 5 spoiler cast we did all those years ago. Which, for anyone that wasn't there back in the day, was myself, Kyle's friend Jacob, and him talking about doing a 3-hour spoiler cast, and Kyle hadn't played the video game, so it was just him sitting there listening to myself
Oh,
and Jacob
no.
talk about the game for 3 hours, and now I know how it felt. But it's been very informative. I've had a good time. I've learned a lot about Resident
I've
Evil.
had a good time.
Yeah,
This was
thank you
fun.
for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I got to yap
Yeah.
about a franchise that I really like.
Oh, we'll have to
Pleasure.
bring you back for Silent Hill or some other horror thing.
Oh no,
for
I have so
Halloween.
much more to say about Silent Hill.
I know, right? I
So-
just have to sit here and talk to myself about these things most of the time when I'm talking about them on the show.
Sort of going back, playing games over and over again. I am actually in the camp. I don't usually like to do that, but I went back and I played Silent Hill F for every single ending.
Oh, I didn't do that, but I respect it. I respect the hustle.
I respect the craft. Yeah.
But yeah, this is a blast. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Pleasure.
All right.
Right.
Tell the people where to find you before we send you off.
So, I stream every Saturday. I have a sort of a talk show on Twitch at twitch.tv/Sheikah Arts. That's Sheikah SHEIKAH_ARTS. We usually do that every Saturday, and also on Blue Sky because I don't use Twitter anymore. And
Is it
that's
spells?
my handle is at Sheikah Arts, but it's all one word, no underscore.
Yeah. I have nothing against X the Everything App Hunter. I don't know what you're on about. Yeah, those links will be in the description, by the way. I will not
Thank
make
you.
spell
I'm
that out.
working on
They
a
will be in
video
the description.
game. So that's all I talk about on Blue Sky, is making a video game.
It's gonna be a great game when it comes out.
Yeah. But thank you so much. Again.
Yeah, no problem.
It was a pleasure.
And I hope I can come and yap again.
Oh, we will make it happen at some point.
And yeah,
The
I'll
show needs
intro
more
it.
guests more often.
Yeah, totally. Might as well do the outro while we're here.
Yeah.
Links are in the description if you want to keep up to date what we do outside of the podcast. I don't have to do the do setup until you're just doing that into the oblivion right there. Sorry,
You know what?
I
I'll
wasn't
do
that
it again
prepared.
just because.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, you can magic them all you want. They will not appear. I spent way too much time on this custom layout and not enough time on sorting out the things that we have
appreciate it.
every week.
It's very spiffy looking.
I know, right? It's pretty crazy. Anyway, next week you'll never guess what. You'll never guess.
Oh
what.
yeah, you will never in a million years see this one coming.
I've heard there's a new Resident Evil game coming out. I've just heard that. The rumors on the grapevine.
Really?
Yeah, I can't tell because it's just this white guy and I can't tell if it's Chris Redfield or not, but I think it might be. Okay?
Kinda looks
We'll find
like
out
him.
next week. Well, it kind of looks like him, just a little bit. So we'll be talking all about that. And as I mentioned in the intro, who knows if any more stuff has come out about the absolute garbage truck on fire that is the Sony news this week and the Xbox news. We might dive back into that if we feel like we need to. But we'll see. Anyway, we'll leave it there for this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.
Bye.